Comics Aficionados right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. Been an interesting week. We saw some rumors going on at DC, which I will address on the channel tomorrow. We have a new distributor. We've got other stuff kind of happening here and there. We got the debut of the Rings of Power, CGC Backtracking. We got some interesting stuff to talk about right here on the channel. And we had a banner week, shockingly. We had the most successful month in show history. We actually had 600,000 views in August. Absolutely
Nice.
shocking.
Nice.
Never
Yeah,
thought we
bitch.
would get there. Yes, it was very cool stuff. And we've obviously got a great panel to talk about this. Returning is Gevian Dargan. No picture because the fade is off. How you doing,
Whatever.
Gevian?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm doing good. Hopefully, everybody who's been following us on social media got to see us dropping the first piece of concept art for our upcoming graphic novel, delivered by the very talented Matthew Mossman. If you're not following us at Animated Con or on Facebook at Animated Concepts, start doing so now. Got a lot of exciting announcements coming up, including, if all goes well, the return of an old favorite. So, yeah, but other than that, I'm doing good. I'm very excited. Yeah.
So you've also got pop-ups. If they want to see these pop-up shops you guys are going to do, they need to follow on social media there for that too, right?
Got that? You got that right. Yeah. So we last week we did a soft launch of Secret Identity. It was just a nice table, a couple of boxes out there. Had a good time. It went real well. The next date we have at the same location, which is the Garfield Park Neighborhood Market, 135 North Kedzie in Chicago. We'll have a little bit more signage, if you will. And you can also check out the social media pages to see the great logo designed by the also very talented Marcel the Loser. You can check him out at Marcel the Loser on Twitter. He did a great job with the design work and just excited about getting this thing with Animated Concepts going. So it's been a good week.
Congratulations, Gevian.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Yep.
I imagine some people are going to notice that Josh is not with us. Once again, he is busy with real world stuff. He's got a real job that he's got to take care of. He will be back. We haven't been on the outs or anything, but Josh is taking care of his real life stuff. So also with us, returning from Weird Science DC is Jim. How you doing, Jim?
Oh, what up? Okay. I don't have anything exciting to announce. I'm in my basement, and our sewer pipe has sprung a leak, and it smells literally like shit down here. So, and it's the outgoing pipe, so big problems. So, and this has been for weeks, so it's really bad, and I'm about to pass out. So there, that's all I have to announce.
Hopefully you make it through.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
I have a terrible story that relates to what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Did shit go
When
in
I
your
was in
face? 'Cause I
Korea,
have something like that.
we
too.
worked in this building that was built in like the 1960s, and all the pipes and stuff were exposed. It was like a Korean military facility, and we shared the building with like Korean intelligence and stuff. And in the office where we had our like second in command, like our director of operations, she was in there working, and all of a sudden some stuff came down. She got out in time, but it flooded, was just like all poop because apparently right above us was the toilets.
Nice. Yeah, our pipe's exposed as well, so that's why it's the problem. It ends up being an issue.
So we had to bring in people into like the skiff where you do the classified work, but they're not cleared for that. So we evacuated everybody, but one person had to sit there and watch these guys to make sure they're not rifling through all the classified stuff. And these dudes, these three Korean guys are like working all the pipes and everything. And I'm watching it. And all of a sudden, it like rained poop. But these guys were looking up, and like one of them's mouth was open. It was revolting.
Yes. But they didn't get the launch codes, is what you're telling me.
They did not get the launch codes.
No,
and I came out, I didn't even get spritzed.
Really?
Nice. But they ate it right in the face.
Oh, man. Hazard pay?
The original 2 Girls, 1 Cup?
Oh, God, come on.
I'll give it this to those older Korean gentlemen. They took it like champs. They laughed it off and cleaned up and came back the next day and finished up the work.
Nice.
I wouldn't have had the heart to do that personally. So
no.
I guess
Also
they
joining
figured
us,
it was empty.
also joining us for a rare appearance on the Comics Aficionados is the man so cool they call him the Breed. Eric Breed, been reading comic books longer than I've been alive. How you doing, Breed?
2 weeks in a row, I'm angling for my own square, like Paul Lynn.
Hey, there's
Center
always
for the
room for you on
block.
this this panel, Breed.
Let's see if you're still saying that after the show.
Yeah.
We'll see what you have to say about the Rings of Power. What's been going on with you? Did you have any good appearances this week that people know about?
Just did the Fossil show on Wednesday. We had it on a different channel, a guy named Gratu Orloff, and did a couple readings, the usual, nonsense. But today's a good day because college football is back in full swing. So I can finally put the Reds and Red Sox in the rearview mirror where they've been pretty much all year. And so, life is good.
Breen always hedging his bets. He's one of those homer fans. He doesn't just have a team. He's got the backup team just in case.
I was born in New England, so I can count that.
You need an AL and an NL team. Come on.
Well, I tell you, I said the Reds are my favorite team. The Red Sox are my favorite team that matters.
You don't need any baseball teams.
Doc, no one cares about hockey.
Jeez.
Fuck you, everyone cares about hockey.
No,
Let's get to the rest of the mail. We've also got the Sultan of Soup himself, the only man that I know of that has a soup or food and comic book channel on YouTube. How you doing, Eric O'Sullivan?
I'm doing well, Wes. Congratulations on your numbers. Getting those up there, man. Ow!
Shocking. Well, probably won't hit him for another 6 months, but I'll take it.
That's great, man. And also, the same station offers views of planets in the morning, bunnies eating their breakfast, and spirituality and gratitude. I got it covered. I got daily content for everyone.
So you're the guy that runs the Marvel YouTube channel.
I wish that would be
better
awesome.
if they did.
Probably would, but
I'm doing awesome.
I'm doing comic-related food.
Yeah.
Do you make Galactus pancakes?
I wish. Galactic size pancake, planet size, to satiate Galactus's appetite.
Yes.
We've also got Aaron Sparrow in the chats. I hope Aaron's having a good weekend.
Yeah.
Probably going to be selling him some of them 6 figures this weekend. Likes to deal in the action figures. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Which we're going to be talking about here soon. And last but not least, we have Doc. Are you prepared to make a fool of yourself once again, sir?
Oh, I am absolutely least. But I will not make a fool of myself. Welcome back, everyone, to the Doc is Right show.
Doc is a fool. Maybe Doc is wrong. Cal Lyle, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Do you think the usual suspects will scream at Todd McFarlane? I know Ontos will, but who cares what that bitch says? What are they mad at Todd McFarlane about this time? Did he say another truth? Is it because he's doing some DC stuff? He's got that Page Punchers original Flash comic and the Batman Spawn thing? But no,
I have no idea what Todd did this.
He probably just did an interview and said something normal.
Yeah,
they'll be mad at him.
So the people that don't know and don't like comics can get mad about him talking about successful ways to make comics.
Well, he was last time they got mad at him, it was about toys.
Yeah. So
maybe he pointed out that boys buy boys toys and
Boys toys.
Yeah, that's
I think Todd McFarlane will be just fine. Didn't he pay like $1 million for a Babe Ruth baseball once?
Yeah, McGuire.
No, it was
McGuire.
It was the Sosa Ball.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And well, he probably just told them, "Hey, by the way, the sun gives off light and heat," and they're like, "No!"
All right, Doc, simmer down there. We definitely want to say also a big shout out to Jimmy from Comic Works. He's helping me out. He's doing a little bit of editing work as far as some videos. He's going to be editing some videos for me every month. So shout out to Jimmy. Good to see you here. And we were already getting underway as far as what we're going to be doing. So that was absolutely amazing. Do we have anything else we need to do before we get right into these topics? So we finally got this information from a Toy Insider that basically all the stuff that Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios are doing to the MCU as far as like phase 3.5 and phase 4, phasing out the older heroes like your Iron Man, your Captain America, and phasing in the newer heroes led by a bunch of female superheroes. Is it working? It's actually killing sales. Shocking, Doc. We have never seen this trend before. They could not have predicted it.
Never, ever, ever. It's not like we didn't have the source material to prove that this is a giant failed idea. And it's not like we didn't have the MCU to also prove that following the source material will get you the same, or generally following the source material will get you a similar result in film as you did if it was a successful comic and you faithfully adapt it, it will make a successful movie. If you have unsuccessful comics that you faithfully adapt, it will make you an unsuccessful movie and TV show. Shocking. It's just basic, simple math. But no, we hey, look, God damn it, we need to do it again. The problem isn't that our idea was bad, is that we haven't been allowed to do enough of it yet. Every ideologue ever. The problem is never that we had a terrible idea, it's that we haven't been allowed to do enough of it yet.
Was it always it's communism isn't the problem, we just haven't implemented it correctly.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, comrade. Yes.
we weren't, get the war on drugs. That wasn't the problem. It was that we weren't allowed to do enough of it yet.
Enough drugs?
Yes, apparently. Enough war on drugs. Well, the problem is they ended up with enough drugs. No, every single time you have a really bad idea, especially egotistical ideologues, they don't, because it is their entire personality, their entire career path, their entire life's goal is to create the thing that they're trying to do. When it fails, they can never accept that my life has been a fucking waste. That their entire life, that every aspect of their work and their effort has been a huge waste because they were wrong. That it was a bad idea. They will never admit it. So the excuse always is, well, we weren't all. The reason that it failed in comics was because, well, we weren't allowed to go big enough. So let's do it in movies where we've already actively killed off these other characters because their contracts ran out. There can't be another Tony Stark Iron Man show or movie or whatever running concurrently that'll steal the audience away from my wonderful progressive She-Hulk. No, because that guy's contract's over. So I'm the only one allowed on stage. And then, sorry, but it's like the ugly stripper coming out. And then everybody just kind of gets up and walks away from the stage.
It's bathroom break.
That's Tuesday afternoons. That's amateur day.
Exactly.
Buffet.
Yes.
Exactly. It's when the ugly stripper comes out.
All right, Doc. All right. Let's
Not to wax poetic about it.
No. Nobody gets up. Nobody like announces like, "Boo! Get off the stage." They just kind of like casually get up and walk over to the drink station, go hit the head, go outside for a smoke,
the
go
buffet,
to the
Doc.
buffet. Yeah, whatever it is.
All right, Doc. All right, let's someone else talk. Okay, Jermaine, what do you think about all this? Were you surprised to see these numbers?
No, I'm right with Doc on that one. I mean, what was the purpose of them taking the direct market to sell us basically $5 and $7, market research surveys, and then to totally ignore all the results of that? It's like, this is like, what are you guys doing? And to Doc's point is that when you get into the point of ideology, that when even cold hard facts are staring you in the face. So you sent us the article about this, and I definitely took notes off of it, especially given some of the things that I'm working on. That when the marketplace tells you that this is how things work, you listen to the marketplace because that's the people whom you're selling to. But for them to have had this much advance notice on how this stuff wasn't going to work, what was it back? It felt like it was 10 years ago, but I'm sure it's probably more like 6 or 7. And then to proceed, 8 years ago, yeah. And then go ahead.
Marvel Now started in 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
10 years ago.
Yeah, so they have 10 years of advance notice that this joint wasn't going to work, and not to make any adjustments at all, and just full steam ahead, fellas. Let's guys and gals or us. Go full steam ahead. It's like, exactly. What do you expect? I mean, much like Doc has on the Doc is Right show has routinely shared with all of us that if Eternals didn't work as a comic book, why would you think it would work as a tentpole film franchise is beyond me. So I have to at least give an apology to at least one person. I think it was Aaron Sparrow when I watched that video too. A lot of good insight. These people really are nuts. I never would have thought that you would have purposely and willfully thrown all this money, taken all this money, piled it up someplace, poured gasoline all over it, light the match in your behind and say, burn, baby, burn. But apparently that's what they're doing over at Marvel right now.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Jump in there, Sully. What do you got to say about this? I know you got opinions.
I've been fascinated with the article that you sent us regarding the topic. It's from That Park Place, and it was written on 24th of August of this year. And it's an industry insider who is remaining anonymous, but it's just dropping like little truth bombs. This is great. Spider-Man, Cap, and Iron Man are holding everything together at this point. Spider-Man is the only sub-brand showing growth in units and dollars and fan interest. Eternals was the worst across the board, but here is the general statement. Female heroes do not sell merchandise. Sorry, they don't.
Hey, remember when all the comic book stores told David Gabriel that at what was it, Baltimore or New York or one of the big shows a couple of years ago?
New York.
And then David Gabriel got roasted for repeating what they said, and then they did more of the thing that didn't sell.
More of it. Yeah, that's gonna fix it.
That's again, it comes back to I wasn't wrong. I wasn't allowed to do enough yet. Make every character gay and female and black, and then just take every other option off the table. Now you'll be forced to buy it.
That was kind of leading into what I was going to say. The first 10 years of the MCU was to make the money, to give them the money that they could end up, then start doing the social engineering. The test run were the comics, and they would put this stuff out there. If you didn't like it, you were called every name in the book. And now I think the end goal is eventually there's no doubt they've been trying to craft a new audience. It's all through entertainment. It's all through society. And you make this stuff. They know this stuff is going to lose money. They don't care because they know that eventually their end game is to where you have no choice but to accept the way that they want to give it to you. And there was an interesting thing in that article about how the Walmarts, the Targets, they can survive, shelves full of, Ms. Marvel and Eternals merchandise that doesn't sell. The smaller stores that were forced to take the same stuff can't. And that also plays into what they want. You want to eliminate all the little people, just have the big giants. And eventually, if they tell you suck for not liking something enough, you have two choices. You either assimilate or you die off. And they're counting on enough people assimilating to where at some point you're going to accept that Eternals merchandise because you're not going to have the Spider-Man next to it anymore. I think that's the goal. And with each passing year, it seems to be more and more like I'm going to, for once, be like Doc and be right.
Hey, this is another kind of deep cut here. And it's one of the reasons why I like Kurt Busiek as a writer, but as a comics theorist, he's a fucking moron. Because he basically said this exact thing about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was, well, we need to make room on the stage by kicking other characters off. And the theory was that the stage is finitely large, like the stage of characters that people are interested in, and that it is only finitely large. And so the only way to make your Miles Morales and your Kamala Khan and your Riri Williams and your Carol Danvers popular is by actually removing characters that people already like. And that was with your taking out Tony Stark, taking out, minimizing Spider-Man, minimizing the X-Men, getting rid of Steve Rogers as Captain America, taking Bucky out of the equation too, because Bucky was the kind of substitute. And his theory was, no, we have to make room on stage by getting rid of these other characters. And that's the mindset of all of comics. Well, we can't get these characters over by themselves. It'd be like pro wrestling saying, well, as long as Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are on the show, we can't get, fucking Dwayne Gill over. So let's get rid of anybody that's good, so that the only option they have are these bad wrestlers that nobody likes. Then they'll start liking them. No, they'll just get up and walk away. They believe that they have a captive audience.
And that's where we are right now, but that's what they're going to try to plow through, because they're not going to course correct. It's just going to be more of what they're doing. And they're going they're waiting us out.
A course correction would imply them accepting that they were wrong, and they never do that.
They don't feel like they're wrong, though, because
that's what he's saying.
We're the ones that are wrong. We just won't admit it.
Yeah, Marvel blames the customer.
Yeah,
and they think that you're wrong.
And eventually, like I said, most of us are going to go away, and the ones that assimilate, that's the new audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going forward. The new kids aren't going to know that there was ever better characters.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they're not going to know that it wasn't always Kamala Khan and Captain Marvel.
It's 1984. They're just going to rewrite history.
And in addition to that, you'll have and they will even accept having 10,000 units as a big seller if it means getting rid of existing readers, replacing it with, and they'll say that that's super successful. No, that stuff in the past that was bad. It was terrible. Yeah, I know it sold 500,000 copies on a regular basis on a newsstand on a spinner rack, but no, totally, that was bad. This 10,000 is great.
Maybe one of you guys will remember this. About 4 years ago, someone even said, I'd rather sell 10,000 copies to the right people than 100,000 copies to them, or something.
I think
to
that was
effect.
Doc. Didn't Doc?
No, it was an industry pro, not the man who's always right.
It's true, though.
I have a vague recollection of that. I don't remember who it was, but it was probably another idiot that can't sell.
Probably.
Sounds like Kelly Sudaconic.
Yeah, the things with the Marvel stuff and these figures and all the toys and things like that, there's also the fact that a lot of these movies have been failing. They're not that exciting. Nobody wants to play with Eternals figures. Also, a lot of the things are, even in that article, the princess stuff is selling, as good as it ever was. That's their big thing. So little girls or boys are still buying these figures. The problem is all those figures in the princess line, you would think of these people buying them, these little kids thinking of them being, kick-ass characters. Oh my God, I want to get Ariel. I want to get all these. But then in the other side of things with the action figures, they're just not. There are girl toys that they can have that are kick-ass. There's a lot of women characters that are really good, but they're just throwing these lame ones that, not even lame, they don't have a base with kids. I mean, the idea that you're trying to sell toys to like a 5-year-old kid is not going to sit there and say, well, that last run of so-and-so is really great. They need to have something that they end up thinking that that's something they need to get. And there really isn't in my mind for these kids anyway. So they're pushing this and just blaming everybody else for not buying it. It's just odd.
Yeah, this is another part. This is another part to it as well, and I think this kind of came out with the discussion Wes had with Aaron Sparrows. That also consider the category, consider the merchandise category.
Yeah,
it's like they're just ignoring that part of it. You might be able to sell a bunch of She-Hulk T-shirts or Kamala Khan T-shirts to a bunch of women at a much larger rate than action figures. This just doesn't seem to be working in the action figure category.
Yeah, you're right.
But you keep pushing it. So go to the place where the people who you want to target will support merchandise featuring that character. Just don't ram it down somebody's throat,
and
no
like,
matter what.
And like Doc and you said, the idea of a She-Hulk thing, while the character's been around forever, a lot of people in the regular general public don't know the character. You have to let the character kind of be known first before going full out and jamming it down people's throats, because they're not going to understand it to go out and grab a shirt right away. You have to give it time to percolate a little bit for the general public, and they don't do that. They go all in, and then it fails, and then you get that idea. Is it the character that's bad? Is it the marketing? And they just, again, Marvel doesn't want to, any big business. DC does the same thing. Nobody wants to admit they're wrong and course correct quickly. They end up just going all out.
I have a question for parents. Is there any Dogman merchandise, like action figures, play sets, or like school bags and stuff like with dog
merch? Yeah, is there merch for dog?
Yeah,
I have no
there
idea,
but I haven't seen it because I don't live in Manila.
Well,
yeah,
the one thing that was brought up here was, appealing to, obviously the female audience and selling T-shirts and whatnot. We need to keep I don't think the publishers and the licensors, I don't think they're understanding the way that women and style, especially they're not selling them action figures, right?
No.
All right, cool. That's fine. But they are selling them T-shirts. Great. That's awesome. But keep in mind something, one of the major differences between men and women. Men will, the thing that they liked 5 years ago, and the thing that they liked 10 years ago, and the thing that they liked 20 years ago, and the thing that they will like 5 years from now are the same thing.
Yep.
We generally like the same thing. And when we buy shirts, when we buy backpacks, we keep them and we keep wearing them.
How many times you get heard? Throw out that old T-shirt.
Women's fashion turnover and what's in style is very rapid compared to men's. Men's, it's decades. Women's, it's seasons.
It's like, dude, if I go into a store and I find a shirt that fits, I buy 5 of those suckers at the same time. I'm not trying to think.
Yes,
I get dressed.
One of each color.
But
that's right.
But so like, honestly, just thinking about it from a pure business standpoint and customer psychology, because that's the way I look at a lot of these things, is that the appeal to the female audience for the merch and whatnot, some of it fails because they're just not interested in that type of merch, but others, you got a very short shelf life, like window of when it's fashionable to do that, and I don't know how long that's going to last. Whereas with men, it's reliable for, you get them at 16, you're going to still have them at 46. That's 30 fucking years of them buying your T-shirts. Women, it's a very short window, and it's a very early on in this experiment. That's especially when you're dealing with style.
And the other thing is, to Weird Science's point, is that some of this has to, I mean, and this was many, many years ago, where I think it was over at WB Kids, they had kind of the strategy of, before they would go into merchandising, they would at least wait from a year or two to see on some level if people wanted to basically extend their participation with the brand through merchandising. I mean, you don't want to miss the window, like when the show pops off, you don't have the merchandise there to take advantage of it. But for some stuff, when people really don't know, like, I think it was Shanghai Showdown or whatever it was a show at the time, where they waited some time before they did the merchandising thing. But it's like, look, in my household, there are basically about 4 Hellfire Club T-shirts. But that's because my family developed a really intense love and affection for Eddie Munson. So that's why you could move 4 Hellfire Club T-shirts in the Dargan household and all over the place, because people fell in love with the character, and then that kind of merchandising takes off. But that's what you have to do. And I think that's a great point, that with She-Hulk, I like She-Hulk for very different reasons than my daughters like She-Hulk. And my wife can't stand She-Hulk because she doesn't like her hairstyle.
Doesn't like the twerking?
We haven't seen the twerking yet. My wife she couldn't get past the first 10 minutes, the first episode, because she didn't like her hairstyle. I was like, well, I was all right.
Man.
Hey.
I didn't really like Elrond's hairstyle in the Springs of Power, but I watched the 2 hours.
Man, that's
very good.
Believe all women. Hashtag.
The haircut. Huh?
I didn't like her hair, honey.
Hey.
That's great. I love women.
Sure
That's
you
very
do, buddy.
womanly.
Let's talk about some of these viewer comments. We've got a bunch of super chats. Thank you so much to everyone for supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do it right here live, obviously with super chats, but there's also a link to the coffee page we have. You can also buy a Thinking Critical t-shirt as well on Redbubble. Cal Lyle says, She-Hulk twerking broke me. Who the F is this show for other than cat ladies and supple carrots? Is twerking that bad? Isn't twerk? I thought it was cool.
It's 6 years old. It's already out of style.
She's gonna dab next episode. I think.
It's hello fellow kids.
Okay, Lizzo did it at a Laker game last year. Now no one needs to see anybody ever twerk again.
Exactly. Like it's already it's over. It's done.
Yeah, I thought twerking peaked at Miley twerking for George Michael, and like look who you're twerking at. Come on, that's not the booty I think he requires.
But yeah, no, this is for a bunch of, honestly, 30 to 50-year-old white women that want to still think that they're too young, that they're young. That's what this show's for.
All right, there we go. Cal Lyle also says, why do they make the women so unlikable?
Exactly. That's a great question. There's a lot to unpack there, because I think that agreeableness is a feminine trait or something, and that they're trying to break that conditioning, that social conditioning, patriarchy, because the patriarchy has put this onto women, that women have to be likable in order for them to succeed, especially as a fictional character. And
most people have to be likable just to succeed.
Most people should be likable just because you're a person and you're here and you're spending
Doc's
time.
He's an anomaly. Completely unlikable and still somewhat successable.
Hey, you know what? You have to be charming to be an asshole and be successful. You can't. I am.
Oh, there you go. But that is one of the things. They like to make a lot of characters, specifically women, very unlikable nowadays. She-Hulk is the embodiment of why we can't have nice things anymore. This is only a rumor, but if they fail, Fantastic Four, why he could be out the door.
Yeah.
I'll believe that when I see it. Feige's made them a lot of money. He might have that lifelong job there at this point, Jim.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think that he would go just because of that, and I think he's there for the
Kathleen Kennedy got extended twice, and she's doing a bigger franchise.
Exactly.
She's Hollywood royalty anyway. I mean, she's been at this since the 80s. She's going nowhere,
Yeah. And Feige, if you end up, hitting him out the door, you're almost admitting that everything you're doing is a failure. So you're not going to do that anyway.
Yeah, the only people that think it's failing is us.
His success, his early success with running, is going to carry him for basically the balance of his career. He will continue.
Wachowskis still get to make movies, even though they haven't made The Matrix for what's it been, 18 years?
Yeah. After honestly, even the second Matrix movie, everybody was eh. The third one, eh. The fourth one was bad, but then they had that Jupiter Rising movie that was terrible. The only other good movie that they did was V for Vendetta, but it was a commercial flop.
Speed Racer was pretty good.
Speed Racer was all right.
I like Speed Racer, but that was a flop too.
All right, but it was still a flop. Movie debate.
Well,
I'm just saying.
They
made a good movie 18 years ago, and they still get to make movies, even though everything they've done since pretty much has sucked.
Yes, exactly. And Feige had 10 years of a run of wildly successful and growingly successful films. And then anything he does after that, we can capture that magic again.
Well, you also got to remember, Disney has really shifted their, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. They have definitely taken a hard left turn societally, if that's even a word. So Feige is now he was giving them what they wanted for the first 10 years, and he's giving them what they want now. He is safe, and that explains Kathleen Kennedy. They are as safe as can be. They're never going anywhere unless it's their own choice.
I agree.
Or
Kyle
Scandal.
also says he doesn't want Seth Rogen to be Ben Grimm.
Oh, good Lord.
That kind of makes
Imagine,
casting
like-
sense. That like makes everything that would make everything, all this outrage worthwhile. Be like,
That's
okay,
all the
look
Seth
at this.
Rogen where he was an alien and got picked up by the two British guys.
Oh yeah, Paul. I think that's what it was, Paul.
But I don't think he can pull off like angry. And
No, he'll be
and-
high. That's the
Well,
thing.
that's
It's
it.
a
Don't
new
let him
direction.
smoke pot for a week, and then he'll be angry.
But I guess I mean
What's in Ben Grimm's
stoner
shit?
thing would be kind of weird. It'd be kind of a change.
They would market it as him being stoned, is what they would do, and it would fail
I
miserably.
see what you did there.
Substitute a cigar for something
Exactly.
else, if you know what I mean. Waka waka.
Yeah, a little blunt action.
Hello.
Johnny Jam Boogie says She-Hulk would be okay if it wasn't for the childish girls rule, boys drool subtext. The show caricaturizes men as boorish meatheads needlessly.
Yeah, it wasn't made for us. I suck because I say that, but I mean it too. It's like I'm at that point where like I'm fine with it. Yeah, go have your friggin' your Sex in the City, Fleabag, She-Hulk, fine, whatever. I'm like, I'm not watching it. I don't.
Sex in the City wasn't awful. It was worth watching.
Love that
Mr.
show.
Big
I
Guy
watched
was pretty
it.
cool.
And it had something that actually the men that got dragged into watching it with their girlfriends or wives
titties.
could appreciate. Yeah, it had titties. And
Lots of titties.
so we had something to, we got a payoff periodically.
Nice.
She-Hulk, we're not getting any sort of fucking payoff.
That's the difference between where we were when Sex and the City was a thing and now. Good entertainment can reach the demographics they're not aimed at. These new shows, they know what they want, and you better assimilate to that, or like I said, there's nothing for you here. Go away. So, yeah, if you're waiting for a She-Hulk show that men can also like, no, you have to change the way you think if you're a guy to get into it, and that's kind of what they're hoping to do.
Can we get Scarlett Johansson's low cut cleavage bearing costume back?
No.
No, probably
Damn it.
not. Kyle Lai also says Blonsky's a hippie now with a harem. That doesn't sound like Abomination.
That sounds like the Maestro.
I thought he was permanently.
That's the Maestro.
Abomination now.
Yep.
Yeah, they do a lot of mashup characters, don't they? I mean, but I think this MCU, I mean, there's only so mad I can be at it anymore. I'm like, there's
It
like,
is what it is.
it is what it is. They're like their Aztec Namor. I think that has more to do, like, and more in common with Ultimate Namor, who was definitely not Namor McKenzie, and so I think there is mitigation there. There is elbow room for adaptation, and everyone's included, sure. And so I'm done with being mad at the MCU. Me personally.
Oh,
You
I
can't
agree.
say anything about the new version of Namor, or people will like lose their mind, even though they don't know who the character is. They just know that they hate you. It's really strange.
Oh, that's terrible. I mean, let's
Yeah.
let it roll. He might be all right,
Yeah, nobody. The MCU doesn't have to stick, exactly to the comics. It's always been more closer to the Ultimate Universe anyway.
Mhm.
But it's the ones that go a step further than that and try and alienate people that they could still get, because I love the first 10 years of Marvel movies.
Mhm.
They weren't exactly to the source material, but that was okay,
Yeah.
because
And they weren't all good either.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember, what's that British dude playing Spider-Man literally swinging on a rope.
Nicholas Hammond.
Thank you.
You're
and to
welcome.
get from that to where we are now, it's
Word.
incredible. It cost us the comic book industry, unfortunately. I didn't see that coming. But now, you can make this stuff, but they have no interest in mass appeal anymore. That's what the first 10 years of the MCU is about.
Mhm.
That's how they made their billions that they can now social engineer with in the second 10 years. And like I said, they're crafting the audience they want.
Mhm. Yes. They're trying to curate our subgenre in our niche market, and they're trying to dictate to us, like, no, you're going to like this, or you're not going to get anything.
Right.
I'll take
Robin
nothing.
Sense says, I believe it's because people are burnt out on the MCU. Marvel needs to go back into standalone stories. So far, Square Enix's Guardians of the Galaxy works.
Mhm.
They could probably give it a rest for a few years, do a couple standalone stories, and come back to it, I guess. But it's worth so much money now, and drive. At least at one time, drove enough merchandise that I think they probably are going to have to see it through, Doc, until it's just dead.
Probably. Drive it square into the ground. The only problem is, sorry, there's no Phoenix of franchises. Once it's dead. Well, then
Jurassic
again,
Park. What are you talking about? Everything has a revival.
Well, see, they never made a failed Jurassic Park movie.
What are you talking about? They made some terrible Jurassic Park movies. You didn't watch them, man.
I watched the original 3.
Well, the third one was trash. This is bad. I'm not Trinity,
but it still made a lot of money. They just stopped making them after that. They didn't ride that thing right to the trash heap.
And then same thing with Transformers. They're doing a reboot on that one supposedly.
Again, still wasn't a giant flop. It stayed about
nothing that the MCU has made yet has flopped, Doc. Nothing hasn't been profitable.
Are we absolutely certain with Eternals? Because there is some questions about that. It did not make a lot of money.
It didn't make a lot of money, but it also has streaming and all that other kind of stuff. It makes all kinds of incomes.
No one's paying attention to it anymore. It's like they moved on to Thor: Love and Thunder and other stuff. So it's like it's not like a black eye, but maybe there's like a bruise on the back of your head.
It's not Han Solo where it lost money in hundreds of millions.
No. I get that. But I guess what I'm saying is there's never been a franchise that has ridden itself down to complete trash. Nobody wants it anymore, and then reinvigorated itself. No, again, Star Trek stopped before it got to that point. Every other franchise and every other rights holder was smart enough to stop something that was failing before it completely collapsed.
Yeah, okay, but now that wasn't the same for the TV shows, because Voyager, it was kind of what was that? Was that Voyager, the one with 7 and 9? Which the only reason why most people watched that one was because of the skin tight suit. It was like it was pretty much done after that, and then they just had to basically go away for a minute, and now supposedly at least one of these new ones is good. The Strange New Worlds. I keep getting mixed signals about the
Planet of the Apes, Doc. That's the franchise that came back after.
Okay,
that was
you know what?
One.
Yeah, and it took. Are they gonna really wait 30 years to reboot the MCU?
Now as long as they keep making money,
you need an entire generation to die.
They tried to do it in 99?
No.
Tim Burton playing.
The Tim Burton, and it failed miserably, and then they had to wait another decade. They waited 20 years to do the first reboot, and it failed. They had to wait another 10 years to do a second reboot, and it was quite successful. But then they didn't have a plan after that.
Well, that's okay. The original Planet of the original Planet of the Apes, that never even had a sequel in mind. It began the whole need for sequels.
All right, fellas, let's move on to the next one. I think we got this one.
Okie dokie.
Dylan Lindsay says, hello, everyone. They are doing this because they don't care. The activists that have taken over these companies didn't build them. They have no problem destroying them for their ideology parasites. That is kind of the problem here, Gervain, is they have no skin in the game. They're just coming after the fact everything's been made popular, and they're going to take these things that everyone put their blood, sweat, and tears into, and they can kind of just tear them apart for their own personal gain. And they never had a part to play in building it, so it doesn't really matter. It's like giving your kid a car when they don't have a job.
I think there's enough evidence out there in the interwebs to back that up. It's like a lot of people, I think, are coming to it as, I'm an artist. I'm going to tell the story that I'm going to tell, and this is going to be my canvas, whether you like it or not. And I think they fundamentally misunderstand that there's a fine line between commercial art and fine art, and they lean too much towards the fine art part, where they don't realize I'm not your patron, I'm your customer. That's two different things. When you're a patron pays for you to do your art, regardless of if anybody ever cracks it or not, and maybe they hope that when you're dead 20 years after the fact, people go, man, that guy was ahead of his time. Commercial art, it's like we're putting something out that is artistic. It does entertain, it can teach, sometimes preach, but at the end of the day, did I make $1 over what I spent to put it out there and promote it in the first place. And that's what it comes down to. So I get the idea. I get the ideology part. It's clear from that toy industry thing that that's the only thing that can be driving something like that. That's the only thing that can be driving some of these decisions, because when you have cold, hard numbers and facts in front of you telling you this ain't working and you continue and soldier on anyway, that's nothing but ideology. You're just trying to win. You ain't trying to make money. You're just trying to win. And your definition of winning for me as a publisher is not what I would call winning. So yeah, I think there's enough evidence and enough people have said stuff in interviews at this point that you don't even have to read between the lines anymore. They're just telling you, oh yeah, I'm going to do this until I make my reality your reality. And the thing is, it's
well, I was going to say, because I think
somebody
you're
else's
onto
money
something there. Yeah, yeah, I think you're onto something there, because I think you have a lot of people in Hollywood, as well as most of the people in comics are people that are failed at getting into Hollywood. So most of those people all saw the story of what the Dark Knight trilogy was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because everybody knows what the story behind that was, right? Chris Nolan went to Warner Brothers and said, "Hey, I have a like a noir crime trilogy I want to make." They said, "Make it Batman and we'll make it." And he goes, "Fuck it, fine." So he forced Batman into his crime noir trilogy because it was close enough. And so they've all basically been doing the exact same thing. They have their story they want to tell. And I
mean, there's also the success of 30 Days of Night, where the guy had the screenplay, it failed, then he brought it to a comic book. It was a successful graphic novel, I believe, and the next thing you know, it's a movie.
Exactly. There's a lot of those. There's a handful of those cases too. So you have both of them, and it's all failed Hollywood writers. Back in the day, we used to have failed novelists. Now we still have your occasional failed novelist like Tom King.
Yeah.
But Chuck Wendig.
Yeah, Chuck Wendig, another failed novelist. So yeah, back in the day, it used to be a lot more failed novelists ending up in comics, and then you got like the 70s and 80s where that was their destination. They wanted to be in comics because they grew up on comics, and now we're back to the failed TV writer producers. And so what they do is they have the story that they want to tell. They will bend and break your character in order to shoehorn it in there. I know Wes and I just talked about that regarding, Iceman. So you it's all the same stuff. Nothing new under the sun. And again, none of these people, they don't even have to suffer the consequences if they do break something, because no one else wants to work in the business. So they're still going to get hired. They're going to get hired again.
Points. This is what Carrie from Nerdy Girl Creates has to say. Disney bought Star Wars and Marvel with the original intent to bring in more male audience. They abandoned that, and now sales are suffering. Well, they originally bought Star Wars because they wanted it to be Disney princesses for boys. That's why they bought the franchise, Sully. And now they've just kind of abandoned that. They want it to just be, they just want everything to cross over and to appeal to everyone. And when you try to appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one. I think that's what we're seeing.
And now boys can be Disney princesses. Isn't that progress?
Well, of course. We saw that in what was that? Snow White?
Oh, that's all right.
Where the dude was the fairy godmother?
Billy Porter.
Yeah. That was weird stuff. So it's just what's up, Doc?
I said that guy sucks.
Oh,
Billy Porter.
Good shape. Wolfstein 3D says, $1 million idea, make a bubble head style twerking She-Hulk doll that says "Don't objectify me." If you slap her in the booty, I would buy that, Jim.
That would work. I think it would work.
Is it really a bobblehead? Shouldn't it be a bobble butt?
Boot.
My dad's a good.
Doc is right. Hashtag.
This says bobblehead style. Like it'd probably be like a bobble body.
Bobble butt.
Yeah, like
that would work.
Can Funko redesign their pops to like so that the butt wiggles instead of the head.
Wow. They can lose to don't objectify me. I'll just buy it for the slap and booty feature.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So you throw a little Nubia out there and make it real bad.
There you go.
Sigma Comics, we got HH German in the house. The guys from Sigma are at Fanboy Orlando. Keep it tuned to Thinking Critical and support these great experts in a sea of BS. Thinking Critical keeps it real 24/7, 365. Hit that like button. Definitely hit the like button. I think we're already over 120, which is, yes, we're already over 120, not even an hour in. We've almost got 400 live viewers. If you haven't given us a thumbs up to let everyone know we're having a great conversation, definitely do that. If you're going to be in the Orlando area, definitely go and support your boy HH from Sigma Comics. Get you some of that Here Comes Calico. If you need some evidence about the quality, there is a review currently up on Comical Opinions that Gabe, who's a contributor, wrote. So congratulations to those guys. I hope you're having a great time in Orlando. I imagine the weather is very nice. It might be a little hot and muggy this time of year, but I hope everyone's having a great time. Common Sense says, I saw Kang trending. The tweet said if She-Hulk combined two abilities, Hulk clap and twerking, King the Conqueror is done. I thought it's funny to share. So if she does the Hulk clap while twerking, she'll kill King the Conqueror.
Ooh, distract him.
It crosses the streams.
Yeah, well, when them cheeks clap, it'll blast him all the way through the timeline.
Hulk farts.
Cheeks are
Sonic
clapping.
booms.
We'll see what happens with Kang. I think they got a good actor for that one. That was one of the few things about Loki that wasn't bad. I think the guy that they got to do that was pretty good. Jimmy from Comic Works. Doc is wrong, but sexy.
I am right
Doc
and
is
sexy.
Is wrong. Nah.
Yeah, Jimmy's always wrong. I am neither wrong nor sexy, damn it.
Yeah.
I'm ugly and right. I would prefer that.
Bad images there. Cal and Lyle. Where are the villains? I'm assuming this was She-Hulk. Is there no villains on She-Hulk?
Look at the look on Jimmy's face.
This is Titania, right? She's fighting Titania?
Yeah, very brief.
Remember when Titania was like, it's so glad to have a female like Captain Marvel finally defeat me. I've been fighting all these male heroes. It feels empowering.
Lady
And it's
Thor.
like,
How many
Lady
episodes?
Thor, that's right. It was Jane Foster Thor.
Yeah.
How many episodes will She-Hulk run? Do we know? Is it like
Too
8?
many. The answer is
8.
too many.
Because
Whatever
I
that
know the
number
Daredevil's
is-
going to be 18. It's going to be
Uh-huh.
shockingly big.
Ooh.
But I don't know. I'm glad people are watching She-Hulk. I guess I decided to take a skip Rudy on that one. I'm watching the House of Dragons. Of the new
House
stuff
of
that's debuted in the last month. That's the one that's actually hit pretty well.
You know
Certainly
what?
not the Rings of Power.
The real villain in She-Hulk will be
Privilege.
a whole new villain. His name will be the Cat Caller. And at the end, and what he does is he goes around. He's kind of like the Purple Man, but he just convinces men to catcall women, and that is his evil power.
Very
Sounds
nice.
like the
We've
last
got
Wonder
Josh
Woman
McDonald
book.
in the house. Good to
Good
see you,
morning,
Josh.
Hello.
And we do have the
9
Wrecking Crew,
episodes.
and we've
All
got
right.
the main bowl still coming. I don't know if they've debuted yet.
Well, because
Could
the
happen.
only I hate having hope for these things, but that means it's only in the end of Act 1 in a 3-act structure.
If you go see the Wrecking Crew, you'll lose your hope that you once had. They don't look very good. Alex says Namor will eat tacos.
that
Tamales,
Is
damn
that
it.
meant to be a segue?
Enchiladas.
I hope he's got huevos rancheros. I hope he's got chili rellenos. I hope he's got, flautas, tortas, all the comida real. I'm into that. Yeah, why not?
Double-handed fondling to you, sir. Wow.
Which Wrecking Crew character did they race swap?
Doesn't matter anymore.
Yes.
You have to
Probably.
check it out. I don't remember all the specifics.
Well, I know I said it doesn't have to, stick to the source material, but kind of the thing about the Wrecking Crew was, the black guy was the only one of the 4 that wasn't an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, Thunderball was a scientist, and I said Pile Driver and Bulldozer were complete morons, and the Wrecker was, basically a dock walloper.
Man,
You have to explain why
a good
Thunderball
name
was hanging
for
out with
the
him.
villains.
Uh-huh.
Matthew Ward says Marvel is making it easy on me. They are giving me more time in my life for WWE and the NFL.
Nice.
I wish it wasn't this way in fairness. You're not watching AEW, man? I'm loving AEW. You got the big pay-per-view, and I guess WWE's got Clash of the Castle this weekend.
That's right.
I've been following the wrestling. You watch WWE, right, Jermaine? Your girls like it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my girls love it. My daughter is she's now coming out of her depression now that both Sasha and Naomi left. They've been one of them left, but they both left. It was
same night, yeah.
It was devastating. But yeah, I'm loving Roman Reigns as a heel. I tell anybody all day long. It's like sometimes it's like I could have seen why they wanted to try to go from with a face, but it's like when you can't go as a face, being a supreme jerk just works every time. So long live Roman Reigns.
Jimmy's got a point. He says Matthew Ward is the sharpest dressed person here. Yes, he looks very nice. Right. Got a good. Looks like it's not even a dress. I know. Well done, sir. I have the Game Pass, so I'll be watching the NFL myself this year. So I'm very happy about that one. Cal Miles says the only franchise I want is Way of Water, which I think will make money. Avatar has a fan base in the Monsterverse. I want more of that. I think Avatar is good. I'm going to watch Way of Water. It's going to be pretty nice.
That's cool.
Do you like Avatar, Sully?
No, because I thought Avatar itself was a remake of James Cameron's Aliens. It's a story, story beats, even the ending with the mecha, the mecha.
Well, he does love mech suits, but that's been in multiple movies.
I know. It's just Dances with Wolves.
But Dances with Wolves is a good movie. What's your point, Doc?
Yeah, I already saw it. It's no. Dances with Wolves was a fine movie. Doing it in space with aliens in a giant tree.
Sorry, I'm not bougie like you. Like I think Avatar is a good movie. I'll watch the sequel. I think it's gonna be good. Am I the only one? Jim, you're with me, right? You got
it's taste. Okay. I like it enough. It was Dances with Wolves, but like you said, when I'm watching it, I'm like, well, whatever. I thought it was a little more exciting than Dances with Wolves, actually. But I went with my
Zoe
kids
Saldana in the blue. Blue could look so good.
If you were to take a 9-year-old and sit them in front of and make them watch Dances with Wolves and say, how would you make this better? That's the movie you would have ended up with.
Yeah, I'm a 9-year-old child.
That's how I am too. That's why you just sold it to me, Doc.
No, I understand that.
Now it makes sense to me.
Yes.
My kids loved it when we watched it, and they were about around that age, and we had a good time. But I can see why people would.
What about the weird alien sex with their tails?
Did you
have them close their eyes?
A hero named Sully. Yes.
Again, you say that, and at one point, my kids wanted to go see Deadpool, and I'm telling you, they were all under 10 at that point, and I said, "No, you can't go." My wife started berating me that I just didn't want to take them. So we went and watched it. I took my under 10, 5 kids under 10 to see Deadpool.
Did you make your wife go too? She just
she wouldn't go. I'm telling you, I was so pissed off. I'm like, fine, here we go. And I made them give her a full synopsis of the movie afterwards. They're like, there was a strip club and there were naked ladies. And I'm like, take that. And she stopped being, bitchy about me about taking them places. I ended up realizing it was not appropriate. And she just gave me shit. That's what she gets. And now all of them are degenerates now. It is they really are the winners.
It's also 10 years too late for an Avatar sequel.
That might be.
I'm going to watch it. I think it'll be fine. I don't think it'll break records anymore, but
it's like doing Matrix 4 15 years later.
Or Bad Boys 3, 15 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bad Boys 3 was successful.
Yeah, was it good? Was it fun? Did you like it?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So many people
I've seen Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2.
Oh, Bad Boys 2 was no. Yeah, Jurassic Park 2 Lost World.
You didn't like Gabrielle Union?
I love Gabrielle Union, but Bring It On, but not in Bad Boys 2.
What happened to Taylor?
Wayne knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? Good call. Neostar Production says, once upon a time, I was worried I'd never see some of my favorite Marvel heroes in the MCU, but lately I'm not sure I want to see them in the MCU. That's a problem. My goodness. Eric, Breen, what do you all of a sudden you don't want to see your favorite heroes in the MCU on the big screen because they're going to ruin them?
Yeah, guy that I do a lot of my stuff with, angling team. He had his new thing is be careful what you wish for. Because you might get it. And that's true. I think about, because way more so in comics when you think man, it would be so cool to have this character come back. No, and it's kind of that way with the movies now because like I said they're definitely going in a different direction, and they'll hit on some things that'll still work for those us curmudgeons, but you might get that character, but it might be in name only.
All of Marvel,
or in this case,
comics,
in name or only. See what I did there?
It seems like all of Marvel and DC at this point is just like the fever dreams of over-caffeinated and over-sugared 7-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
What would be super cool is if Miles Morales had Thor's hammer.
Now do it like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, no. And trust me, we don't need to see it. Really, I promise. This over-caffeinated, over-sugared, like cocaine-using 9-year-old. We don't need to see whatever hallucinogenic fever dream thing you mash up you keep coming up with.
Doc,
Please
where do you
just
go
stop.
to hang out with 9-year-old cocaine users?
Let's not
Don't
talk
answer
about
that, Doc. As your attorney. No.
Are they letting them in those
All right.
clubs you
All
frequent?
right, fellas. I've always wanted to see Arcade in a movie. I want to see Murder World in the
That would be
MCU,
cool.
but not anymore. They would destroy my boy Arcade. Kaiser Jose, man, that is a damn good
Kaiser
name right there.
Jose.
One more Moira resurrection to retcon all the woe.
Hey, we
You
finally
think
said
would work,
it.
Doc? Would it take effect?
That's it, right?
We said
Wait,
it.
what?
Woke.
Finally said it. Sorry, Tevye. Do you think they can use Moira to resurrect Marvel Comics out of this place and maybe fix the MCU in the process?
Hopefully, because my suggestion has been Franklin Richards waking up from a fever dream.
That would be
and
cool.
you're finding out that
Coming out of the
it's
shower.
like 2 weeks. Yeah, like I mean, straight up Bobby Ewing.
Fine. Yeah.
Straight up Bobby
Do it.
Ewing walking out of the shower moment, and you find out that everything from a couple of months before Civil War until now was him hallucinating it into reality. And then you set up the next few years of stories with some people remembering it, some people not remembering it, some people wanting that world to exist, some people not wanting the world to exist. You could realign heroes and villains. Just create a whole new status quo, and it undoes all the bullshit from the last 20 years.
I would use the Siege Perilous. I mean, why not?
Can we put
I mean,
the Earth through it?
boom. Let's write everything.
Yes, could we put
Yeah,
the
but if
Earth
you
through
put
the
Marvel
Siege
characters to the Siege Perilous at this point, they'd all come out gay.
Perilous? Yeah.
'Cause that's who they were supposed to be, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't want to touch that bad boy.
And then we do a flash forward to 20 years later, and everyone's dead because
We've
nobody
also got
reproduced.
So happy.
Paul M supporting the channel. Wes, as a DC fan like myself, what are your thoughts on Final Crisis? I know people hate it, but I love it. We could use a join channel button to support the channel, my dude.
Aw.
As far as Final Crisis goes, Grant Morrison is a legend for a reason. I don't think that's his finest hour, but I think it's better than some of the other Crisis, especially the ones that have been happening lately, Breen. What do you think about Final Crisis? Is that was that a gold standard for DC events? I think, Blackest Night's better.
Final Crisis, I did not like. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like a crisis. It just felt like Grant Morrison just being at his Grant Morrison-esque. And I like the stuff he'd been doing leading up to that with the like the 7 Soldiers of Victory. This is the channel. There's like 4 issues things he was doing.
Yeah.
But it's almost like he built up all this goodwill. I actually liked his Batman run.
Yeah.
But then it just Final Crisis I thought was just god awful, and you're right.
I don't think
Night
it's as
was
bad as
much
what you're
better.
saying, but
Well, reasonable minds can disagree, as Jay Billis would say, but it just didn't do it for me. Because maybe it's because
I don't love it. I'll put it that way.
It came right after a Crisis. I think did work because I think they've had 2 that I think worked really well. The one that Wolfman and Perez did, and what was the next one?
Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis in 2006.
Yeah,
because there was so many stories that fed into that. Like if you go on Comic Book Realm and look up reading orders, you get about 200 titles before you even get to it. And now And well, there's nobody left in comics that could do anything on a scope that size. So you're never going to get another one like that. But then to follow it up with another Crisis that just kind of felt anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the request for like the join the channel button, I'm assuming that you're talking about channel memberships. This is something I'm looking into. I'm probably going to get a Patreon going up as well as channel memberships. They're going to like work in conjunction with each other, but I got to figure out exactly how I want to set everything up and what I want to offer. I don't just want to put out something to where people can like give me money and get nothing back. I want to have some very cool things in mind. I got some ideas. Obviously, my ideas might be a little bit too big, but I'm going to see if I can execute them. And likely within the next month or two, there will be a Patreon option or a channel membership to support the channel. And I do appreciate you bringing that up.
Unlike Wes, I will take your money and give you nothing in return. You are welcome to hand it to me. I am glad to do it. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Yeah, I don't go by that one, but I definitely am looking into it, Paul, for certain.
I want to say I liked Final Crisis. I liked a few of the tie-ins, especially Superman Beyond 3D. That was really fun for me, and I like the whole thing about disseminating the anti-life equation through social media and how it divided humanity, and how you had this whole riot kind of like, an oppressive, feature to society after that. So I think it like really called Twitter and the impact that social media has. It kind of like called the Summer of Love 2020, 12 years ahead of it. That whole thing of like using like these everyone's tablets, everyone's phones. You just saw anti-life, and now you're one of us, or you're against us. I mean, that's on the nose for today.
Man, you know how I know things are falling apart, Gervain?
Go ahead.
Gabe Hernandez just said that Tay Leone was hotter than Gabrielle Union.
Oh my Lord. Is he
Mind blown. That came out of a grown man's tyrant.
As the kids say, I'm dead.
Gabrielle Union was definitely hotter. However, I will tell you that Bad Boys 1 Tay Leone was way hotter than she was ever in any movie before or
and Deep Impact.
She's way hotter than Anne Heche. Okay, that's what. Come on.
Well, now
burn.
All right, fellas, let's get back on track. Cal Mile, Doc, do you hate everything, or do you just need happy pills?
I don't hate everything. I love a lot of stuff. There's just not a lot of mass consumable pop culture media out there right now that is very good. And that's the problem.
He also says, I want more Monsterverse stuff. When he says Monsterverse, is he talking about the like Universal monsters with Tom Cruise in the Mummy stuff? Because if that's what he's talking about, I don't want any more of that, because it's
weird
sucks.
Because that might be getting a kickback, because now all of a sudden the Mummy movie is doing really good on Netflix, and they're starting to talk that because of Maverick, that Tom Cruise might end up going back to that Dark Universe stuff. Though, I want nothing to do with
Dr.
it.
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Great umbrella name.
Australian guy that used to beat up people.
Yes, Russell.
But I used to love Universal Monsters. I used to watch I've seen all like the black and white stuff.
Yeah.
If you like that kind of stuff, Cal Mile, go watch Monster Squad. That's the movie for you.
That is awesome. Yeah, that is a great movie.
Says,
so much better than Goonies.
But people are saying Monsterverse was the Godzilla Kong thing, and that actually was a better version of the Dark Universe.
Yeah. But that's still going on. That's not scrapped.
Yeah.
They got big plans. Goblin Sense says Avatar or Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke.
I like Avatar. I'm sticking with it.
I like both.
Or is he talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender? Because that's like an anime.
Good follow-up question.
Also an awful movie.
Is one of the worst live-action movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, the M. Night Shyamalan, the twist was it sucked.
Yeah, but that was the twist in the three previous movies.
Yes.
So it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about the Avatar with the sexy blue Zoe Saldana, I'll go with that one. Nerd Immunity. Do you think 100 Bullets gets a live action TV show?
Oh, please.
I would love it, but it would fit perfectly on HBO Max.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the same way that, for a lot of the same reasons that Global Frequency was never able to really work as a TV show. 100 Bullets won't either, just because it'd be like trying to do a criminal TV show. Too many story arcs that are introducing new characters. You'd end up having to change the whole idea of the show with 100 Bullets to make it work as a TV show when the only recurring character is the guy that shows up and gives you a briefcase.
Well, they could center it around Mr. Graves and Dizzy, because then you get the strong female hero who, I thought was a fantastic character, but this might also fit under the heading of be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Because I think they'd end up butchering what made the 100 Bullets comic so unique and interesting.
Yeah.
In order to make it work for a television show.
All right. Josh says, I came in when everyone was discussing whether Doc is sexy. He is sexy and he's always right. Hit the like button for Doc is the right show.
Goddamn,
Josh,
yes.
it's like Josh is turning on me now too. Like, I appreciate supporting the channel. I hope you're having a good day and you got a lot of rest. If you do hit the like button, I think we're well over 150. We might be over 160 likes right now. So I definitely appreciate that one. It looks like we're definitely going to hit 200 on this show. And Doc, I don't think Doc is sexy.
Sounds like people want maybe you get like a champagne room where you have access to Doc on this join the channel thing.
Is that what I need? It's like a little.
It's starting to look
If you get
that
the
way.
channel membership, you can see Doc like dancing like in a private room.
There's no something in the champagne room, but you get Doc.
That's rough, man.
There is Doc in the champagne room.
Yeah, my goodness. People be unsubscribing left and right. Common sense. I got a pitch for MCU's Young Avengers in Avengers Arena. Well, I don't think that you're going to need to pitch it. I think we're getting Young Avengers within the next 2 years. They're setting the table. Looks like Nova's coming out soon. We've already got Kate Bishop. Miss Marvel has already set the table. So I think you're going to be getting Young Avengers very, very soon in the MCU. Miss Maria. What it was revealed that an SJW mutant was turning people gay. People could be turned evil via magic. Why not gay? Well, he was kind of revealed that way. Jean Grey like mind manipulated Iceman.
Yeah,
I don't know if I call her an SJW mutant, but she's telepathic.
They'll never write that story for the same reason they will never admit that Jean actually made Iceman gay and didn't out him.
That's the way the panels come off, though.
Yeah.
She says, you're gay, right? And he's like, what? Next
yeah.
thing he's gay.
Yeah. She the same reason that they'll never admit that she didn't out him, she turned him, is the same reason they would never admit that, because that villain would be Jean. It would be Teen Jean. That's it. The new Phoenix. The gay Phoenix saga.
There we go. Cal Miles says the Monsterverse. He's talking about Godzilla and Kong.
Yeah.
You get lots of Godzilla and Kong. You just got them fighting each other. It sounds like they're going to do like a movie a year, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, they're continuing on with that. It looks like it's been very successful. There's been some interesting stuff. I wish Bryan Cranston hadn't died so quick, but other than that, I kind of like it. Black Wolf Inc. Marvel admitted defeat when Phase 5 became Phase Boar Part 2, and Phase 6 is just Phase Boar Part 3 with Fantastic Reboot and Avengers 2-parter. It's not a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon here, Gervain. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I think it's if it's not already clear, it's going to be revealed that what happened with MCU was that basically they definitely had a hit on their hands. You can't knock the first 10 years in a lot of ways. It definitely was a success, and then people just thought it could be a platform for other things that, like you said, it's like they made their money, and now they're using that money to kind of like just do what they want to do, and I don't know. It's like, when I look at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and it was just like all some of us wanted was, for those of us who invested time and energy and actually enjoyed some episodes of the What If series on Disney Plus, just give me that. And it just turned into something else. But yeah, I just think they really, I can't tell if it's like corporate mandates plus a combination of personal agendas or whatever it is. But it has deviated so far away from what the first 10 years was about that it's just kind of unrecognizable. And it's not going to do well. So do they have time to course correct? I don't know. It just depends on how much money they put in there. If they're going to take the whole Warner Brothers Discovery approach, so they just start slashing stuff left and right, maybe they get back there. But of course, that's being done for different reasons. But it's like, yeah, I agree. It's kind of over at this point.
They need every creator that was involved in Phase 4 needs to be unceremoniously removed.
Yeah.
Like every showrunner, every director, every writer that was involved in Phase 4 needs to be shown the door and said, you know what, we tried it that way. We're going back to the people that actually know fucking comic books approach that we did with where's Marcus and McFeely? Seriously, just bring them back and have them write it.
Paul M asks, what is the panel's favorite Batman run? Sorry if this has already been brought up prior. Mine are Grant Morrison's and Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil's run is absolutely fantastic. Such a good handle on Batman. He really brought back the old school Batman villains. They were made jokes. We hadn't seen Joker in like a decade, I think, by the time they brought him back. So Denny is a great run. It's hard for me to figure out like a run because there's so many great Batman stories. I've like jumped around Batman just to get all the stories. My favorite story, I think, probably is still Frank Miller's Batman Year One. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But Chuck Dixon, at least the first half of the Nightfall story is absolutely amazing as well. So there's a lot of good stuff. What's your favorite one there? Salt in the Soup?
That's a really tough question. I mean, I like the Grant Morrison stuff myself. That was really fun, especially that one issue that was just all prose, and that was like 4 issues in one, and it was a Joker story. I'm big. One of my favorite collections. It's called Blind Justice. It's from I think 89 or it's from 89 when the Burton movie came out. It was written by Sam Hamm. And it was about it was to celebrate Detective Comics having an anniversary as well. And there was 3 issues. It was just really awesome. Bruce finds himself injured, and so there's a mind swapping technology, and he swaps minds with his girlfriend's brother, who's like a fit guy, and it ends badly for the brother. The brother gets killed. Bruce ends up brokenhearted and dumped, but still it was just like it was pretty brutal. And it was the first appearance of Henri Descartes, one of his mentors. And so that's a gem from the dustbin. If you want to look up a good one from me, try Blind Justice by Sam Hamm. Good stuff. Who's next?
I would have to say, oddly enough, here's one that's probably going to be unpopular. I like the Judd Winnick run after Loeb and Sale left, or Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee left the book. I actually really did, or no, they were on Detective around that time. Or no, they were on Batman,
because they brought the Red Hood back, right?
Yes, because
Dustin Gwynn
and Judd Winnick. Because I'm a big fan of Dustin Gwynn. I have a bunch of original art from him. I love
the Matt Wagner covers; those are good.
Yeah. And because Paul Dini was over on Detective at the time, and Judd Winnick was on Batman. So I really enjoyed the Judd Winnick and Dustin Gwynn, especially the Scarecrow story they did, and obviously Under the Red Hood. So yeah, I enjoyed those.
I'll go next if nobody minds. Mine is the Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers, 6 issues. That's been now titled Strange Apparitions, because in just 6 issues, he brought back Hugo Strange, who hadn't been seen since Batman #1, and he brought back Deadshot, who hadn't been seen since like Batman 59 or something, with where he was a guy that wore tux and tails. And they had one of the one of the best Joker stories before the Joker became horribly overused.
Yeah.
Found a way to get a good Penguin story in there. You had the mob intrigue with Boss Thorne, and in the Silver St. Cloud, who I'm one of those people that think that was the best pairing for Bruce. She figured out who he was, realized she couldn't handle it because she witnessed his fight against the Joker on the rooftops and over the bridge. And in 6 issues, they packed so much, and they were only 17-page stories. And so you got all of that in 6 issues. You know, Englehart wrote a few issues prior to that, but Rogers wasn't on art, and Rogers stayed a couple issues into Len Wein's run, but that was just incredible. But as far as like long storylines, No Man's Land, especially Cataclysm.
Yeah,
because you read that, it's like, I don't know about you guys, like when an event is done really well, you kind of feel like you're there. Like Final Night, I would get cold reading some of those issues, and reading Cataclysm, you really felt like you'd lived through an earthquake.
Yeah. And No Man's Land, so I'll jump in behind Breen on that one. And what I liked about No Man's Land was it really did feel like it was moving the status quo forward. Like it really was moving the mythos and the canon forward, as opposed to just being some event that happened. But yeah, I thought that was a great story. I mean, some people bring it up, so they're bringing some rumors for me. For me, my big one is always Batman Venom, which was Denny O'Neil. It's more stories and runs. But if I have to go a little bit out of the box, I did like the Starlin run on Batman, the one that led up to Death in the Family. I thought his portrayal of Robin and how Batman was having to deal with it really added a new dynamic to the mix, which is that even though I didn't read the Red Hood comic run, when I saw the adaptation, I thought that was another thing that really defined what Batman's character was. So a lot of times for me, it's more Batman stories. If I had to go for a run, I'm with, I believe it's Tevya here. I'm with the Robin one run by Dixon, because he just redefined that entire character. It was a brilliant run from the miniseries into the ongoing, from beginning to end, and it just really established that character in the pantheon as it should.
Of course, he was living a lie.
Well,
Jim, did you get your Batman run in?
No. I'm with Wes. I'm with you. I don't really have things like runs. I end up going stories, but if it was a run, it'd be Denny O'Neil's. But I do love that Venom story. And Jim Starlin, his stuff, it's so quick, but yet most of it really hits. I mean, it's such a quick run, but it is really good. KG Beast and stuff like that, even with the
KG Beast.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's amazing when you go back and see how quick that was. But Denny O'Neil's, to me, is the best. But I do go more stories than runs on most characters anyway, especially Batman. It's tough.
Yep.
Dylan Lindsay getting back to the Universal Monster Universe that kind of failed. Dracula Untold was way better than Tom Cruise's Mummy. I'm sad they didn't use it to launch their Dark Universe. It made money, just not enough money.
Yeah, Tom Cruise's Mummy that Mummy made money. It just didn't make enough, but it's a weird deal. But yeah,
it wasn't a good movie. That was
that's the problem. That was the problem. Yeah.
God, this is like, what a terrible take on the Mummy.
Yeah,
the Brendan Fraser thing was way better.
Yeah, I like that.
Indiana Jones fighting a mummy.
Exactly.
Makes a lot more sense. Like, it's hard to take Tom Cruise seriously as like a warrant officer in the army. It's like, dude, you're like 58. Get out of here. No. Cal Miles says, on Doctor Strange 2, I was angry at what they did to Wanda because it felt like I wasted my life rooting for her, and now she and Olsen are dead to me. This is not the actress's fault. It's not like she wrote it.
Well, maybe it just means like Wanda is basically literally dead. But yeah, my daughters felt the same way. She said her and a bunch of her friends, they were all Wanda. They all were rooting for Wanda too, and they just, especially I think after WandaVision, I think they at least felt sympathy for her and sympathetic for her. So for her to take such a dark turn, I think it was a little surprising for a lot of Wanda fans. So yeah.
At least she couldn't wipe the mutants out yet, right?
Yeah, you never know. We just saw rocks fall. That was it.
Galvin says, waiting for season 2 for Godzilla Singular Point. That's a good anime. If y'all like the Monsterverse, read Ultra Mega by James Ward. Absolutely. Ultra Mega's very good. It's a little swerve on the first issue, too. Did you read that one? Sully?
No, I did not.
If you like monsters, you should read Ultra Mega. That thing was
Ultra
if
Mega.
You like kaijus and monsters, that's a damn good comic book. I'll put it that way.
I take my, you know what? I take suggestions from this show. I really do. Like what you hit on your video recently, man. I mean, I don't take any suggestions from mainstream media or shills, quote unquote. I literally get I get the goods from you guys, and I'm grateful for it.
Well, thank you very much.
The good suggestion. So I'll write that down. Thank you.
Grundy Talk says A Death in the Family is a Starling classic. That is a classic comic book. And my favorite thing, probably, Gervais is like the Joker becoming like a Middle East or something.
Yeah,
he was Nicolas Cage for was it Dogs of War? Whatever. No, I mean that's a good point. If you look back in retrospect, it almost makes no sense. But it was just like I forget. I would say Weird Science. It was like Starlin just kind of came in like a whirlwind, did his thing. But yeah, that did his thing and got out. But it was like that story, Death of the Family, was like so almost it's just so all over the place. But it just really in a very sublime way just worked because it was almost like, to me, it felt like almost like a nod to like the Adam West Batman TV show. He's like, you mean you sold the Joker a pin and Gwen, a nuclear missile? What the hell's wrong? What's wrong with you? But yeah, that was hilarious.
And stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that was classic, and you know it's a good story because it still drives storylines today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was seminal.
Comic books that are referencing Death in the Family and moving their plot forward.
And the same thing to which I believe it was Weird Science point in terms of even the KGB story, because there was a very nice bit where it's actually the one where after Jason dies, and when Dick goes to confront him about it. And it's like it's almost a throwaway line, but it's in there. He's like, you left the dude in the tunnel, like trapped him for that. He, this thing of where Dick for the first time really realizes Bruce's feet of clay. It was just so much stuff that came out of that Starlin run, and the way he really took what Frank Miller did with the whole showcase of Jason's costume and just paid it off. It just paid off in such a magnificent way. So Starlin's very brief but bright run is just really underrated. It does inform so much of the Batman universe going into today. It just does. Yeah.
Everyone should be booing Josh McDonald right now. He says Death in the Family isn't good. He likes Doug Mensch. Doesn't get enough credit for his work on various Batman titles and runs. The original Legends of the Dark Knight run is also great. Everyone kind of talks about the Legends of the Dark Knight run there, Breen.
Well, that's because it was a showcase for, good writers and good artists to tell good stories. And Josh is right. The Doug Mensch and Jerry Conway Batman detective through the first half of the 80s doesn't get talked about nearly enough because they were both just so damn good.
Absolutely. So appreciate that one. Josh will be back on the channel soon enough. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, my friend. Now let's talk about CGC backtracking on their bootleg acetate gate covers.
Yeah, what's up with that?
This is, I think, the fourth different policy that they've announced regarding this thing. At first, they were going to accept them, but they were only going to be on a case-by-case basis, and it had to be from the original artist of the cover. And then there's so many stupid things, and people obviously called out CGC on their BS on this one. The craziest thing about this, in my opinion, Jim, there are a few things working really well right now within comic books. One of them, probably the thing that's working the best, is the collector market itself. Yeah. It's very healthy. It's very robust. It's one of the few things keeping comic books alive right now. Why would CGC, just to certify this cover, that CBCS has come back and said we would have graded this as a 7.5 because of the extra staples and whatnot? Why would they put their reputation on the line? They're doing something similar. They're grading like invisible comic books that don't exist and stuff, like kind of treating their bread and butter business as a joke.
They are, and they're going with gimmicks. They're going with stuff that they don't need to do. It's kind of ridiculous. Like you said, maybe they're worried. Maybe they see the writing on the wall and think that, hey, things are going to get bad, so we have to start really fudging the stats here. I don't know. It's very odd. It doesn't make any sense that you would put everything you're about on the line to just do something wacky like that. And that invisible comic thing, that's just nonsense. That's complete and utter nonsense. And that just, it starts making all that a joke, which I don't know why you would do that.
I can understand the publisher doing it, maybe just to get some publicity or whatnot, but the actual grading company going along with it. It's
Yeah,
like,
no,
what are you doing here?
They should be outside of that. They should be, dead serious about it and be very careful about everything they do. And it doesn't seem like they are. It's very, like I said, it's very odd. I don't understand it.
Breen, you've been doing comic books for a long time. You were around when comic books became collectibles and CGC kind of rose up. Have you seen them make these kind of decisions before that just made no sense whatsoever?
To be honest, I've never paid that much attention to the whole CGC phenomenon. I myself have never owned a slabbed book.
Yep.
I've never bought a variant. And what I do, even though I work at a shop now, what I do is, I'm kind of on the other side of that. I'm kind of like the meat and potatoes part of it when it comes down to the slabbing stuff. The other guy handles that. So I really don't know that much about this whole thing. And I said, because slabbing is.
This is what happened. Black Flag Comics had 750 copies of the first appearance of Miles Morales. They were facsimile editions.
Yeah, right.
And they couldn't sell them, so they had Creighton Crane create an acetate cover, like the flag on it, and I think it had a saying on it, and then they sold them as if they were like from Marvel, like they went to Marvel and had them created, and then CGC actually went in there and graded them as like 10.0s, and they were selling them for like $1,500, even though it was against policy, and the cover itself was never supposed to be on it. So they were bootlegs.
Interesting.
What do you think about this one, Gevian? Obviously, you're like to look on things on the business side. Why would you want to put doubt on your reputability as far as being able to grade a comic book and be honest about it?
Money. At the end of the day,
money.
Yeah, it's money. It's like, I mean, I'm with Breen in the fact that when CGC came. I mean, I'm talking about when they first emerged on the scene. Like, I kind of understand from a collector's and even a retailer's point of view why you would want to have something like a good housekeeping seal of approval. Like, I know from having worked in a comic store for a couple of years, not too long, Action Comics in New York. Like, when you get collections in, and if you don't really sometimes do your real due diligence, you get some real stinkers in there that, can really throw off what you paid for a collection. And I think the CGC serves that purpose of, I've got this stamp of authenticity of I'm getting what I paid for. So honestly, to do something short term like this, at the expense of your long term business model, if you will, it doesn't make sense unless you're all about money, or you have a very and I would have to say, and I shouldn't use the word dumb, but a very short-sighted and unwise perspective on money. It's always better to make more money over the long term, in my opinion, than a bunch of money in the short term, unless you're a really good saver. There's some people, I tell some people, if you're going to do something like this, you just make sure you save your money. But it's like, because when you do something like this, in terms of their trust and their credibility, it's just burned now, because it just shows you that you'll do anything that somebody will come along, and if they say to put the right word in your ear, or they will throw enough cash your way, or they got enough dirt on you, you'll just go along with that. So now it just calls into question. Even there's this thing going around that sometimes you'll send books into CGC, and the book that you sent in is not the book. The book that you get back is not the book that you sent in the first place. It just makes everything look suspect. I always thought it was, to me, it always felt really silly and like a cash grab to begin with. And now for someone like me, 5-10 years later, it just proves it to be right. Even if it is that one singular incident, that's all people need to basically, go to town on you from that point on. So very, very dumb move, in my opinion. Yep.
Then they decided to come down with the new policy that says, now we're going to grade these correctly. We're going to throw the label that says they've been altered, from the manufacturer and stuff. But the original ones that were 10.0, 9.9, 9.8, that cost so much, they're going to keep the universal label on them. It's like, what's the point of all of this? Like, they're just going to be out there. And now, though, I guess those will be rare and worth something to read.
Well, as far as the CGC through the years, I mean, I've heard stories, and who knows if they're true, but
exactly,
if you're a large enough account, and it costs X amount to have a book graded, but you're doing so much with them, and you slip them an extra little bit of money, and that 9.6 becomes a 9.8 suddenly. How are you gonna? You have to have, I can see Neptune, type eyesight to tell the difference if you're not a pro and they're in a slab. So, because I said once you get that is the seal of approval, and that's the gospel. But I'm sure there are people through the years that paid to have those grades just come back a little bit higher. Yeah, they may now. I know they were sold recently, and they may be too big to run that risk now. But I would imagine that story might have more truth to it than not. So I mean, it says nothing new as far as like being compromised. I would imagine, allegedly.
What about you, Sully? You're not so much of a collector. Are you ready to go get some slab comics from CGC now?
I don't know. I too have never owned a slabbed comic book. I've got I'm not the kind to care about that part of the speculator market, and I mean, it just seems this was produced by Marvel and then a second person altered by someone else, and there's that. I mean, reputation's going a long way, especially when it comes to something like authenticity of a prized heirloom deserving of a slab. So
okay, I look at it this way: if Jim Lee in the 80s would have went out and bought a bunch of those Mark Jewelers inserts and stuck them into copies of X-Men 266 and then sold them, that wouldn't make them not qualified.
I got a question then. Sorry.
Yeah.
Should I get this slabbed? I mean, this is just a random $15 issue of Daredevil 175 in a decent condition, but I got Frank Miller and Klaus Johnson to sign it.
No.
No,
do not, because it'll be purple label because it was not witnessed.
Okie dokie.
CGC requires witnessing for you to get the yellow label.
Okie dokie.
Purple is qualified or is a well, no, actually that would be green label. Because purple is restored, green is qualified, means that there's writing on it, and it claims to be Frank Miller and Klaus Johnson's signatures, but there's no proof of that.
No proof of that. Exactly.
It was not witnessed by anyone that they trust, because they don't know you from Adam.
Correct.
Even if Frank were to say, "Yeah, that's my signature. I remember signing that," they still won't do it.
Cool.
Because
all right, Doc, let's talk about the policy change that they did here. They've actually walked back once again.
Yeah.
But they're leaving the stuff that they graded as a 10.0 and a 9.9 and a 9.8 in the market with the universal label. But now moving forward, they're going to give it the correct label.
Yeah. So now it's so now they just have mislabels out on the market. That's all it is now. And I think the market's going to accept that. They are not going to consider those. Well, no, those are actually 10 blue labels. They're 10 mislabels. And
as someone that's had a CGC account and you had your own CGC account for grading and stuff, does it make you get a little bit sketchy on what CGC has done in the past, or the reputability as a grading?
I have always had some reservations about CGC because they have gone through periods where, look, as much as they'd like to say it's an objective grading, it is not. There are periods where they are looser and tighter in grading, and even people with CGC accounts that are still actively submitting stuff agree to that. There's times where their grading standards are looser. There's times their grading standards are tighter, and a 9.2 from a very tight era, or a 9.0 even from a very tight grading era, can be the exact same condition as a 9.8 in a loose grading era. And so they've always had that a little bit of variation. And even people that are active in the CGC buying and selling, community as well as business, agree to that. They understand it. And so does it hurt their reputation? I don't think anything more than their different eras of grading do. I don't think it hurts their reputation or helps their reputation any way more than their own variation in grading standards over the last 20 years does. I think it does hurt a little bit. Yeah.
What about what Nicholas Russ says here? He says Key Collector is giving away a CGC graded invisible comic right now. Is this a joke or am I missing something?
It actually is a joke. It was
real.
Yes, I know. The whole the invisible comic thing was a joke, and it was because you can't actually tell if there's even a comic in there if it's invisible, because you can't touch it because it's inside a slab. That was the whole point of it.
But it's not a joke. It's real. It's really an empty slab that says there's an invisible comic in it.
Yes, it's an empty slab that says there's an invisible comic, but you can't, because it's in a slab, you can't prove that there's even a comic there. That's the point.
Is it like unstable molecules, so that's why you can't see the staples?
Yes. Schrodinger's funny book.
Yes,
it's like my invisible girlfriend in high school.
Yes, it's
she's from Niagara Falls. You don't know her.
Yeah, it's your Canadian girlfriend.
Canadian side. Yes.
Yeah. So no, there's look. Does it hurt their? I still consider this a half measure. With the response to this, they've finally gotten it mostly right, and they're going to get it right moving forward. The problem is they didn't go the recall route. That would have been the permanent, and just said, "Hey, look, any blue label, just if you see it on the market, consider it a green label. It's been recalled." Just because, like a car recall, just because they don't actually bring it into the dealer to get the problem fixed doesn't mean that it's not recalled. There's recalled comics that have existed forever. There was the Wolverine issue where the killer Sabretooth was actually a slur on Jewish people. That there was those that were recalled. I think that was Wolverine 131. There's dozens and dozens of. There was the nude issue of Elektra during the Max era, or no, it wasn't even a Max book. It was a Marvel Knights Elektra book, where she was naked, and they recalled it and published it with her in shadow.
Yeah, but the CGC do that. Like if you set that comic into CGC, they would send you a different version, but like that was recalled. They can't let you have new Elektra no more.
No. They will not do that. The publishers recalled those because they were an error. This is something that was created without the publisher input. So as a result, CGC, they should just retract their grade on it. And if you want to send it in, we will crack the slab, slap in a new label, and put it in a new slab. We won't regrade it, but we will just put it in a green label, so they can just pull out the blue label, put in a green label in a new case, and send it back to you at no charge. If that's what they should do. There's not that many of them, so it's not like they'd be out a large sum of money, or it would delay them significantly. There's only a couple hundred copies of this, and there's only a couple hundred with a blue label. There's probably less than 50% have the blue label. So you're looking at maybe there's 700 or so. So you're looking at maybe
750 raw, but I'm not sure how many were actually graded.
Okay, so you're looking at probably, I would say you're probably no more than 375 books that all they have to do is crack the case, put in the exact same label, but it's colored green instead of blue, and send it back to the submitter. That's what they should do. And then they should because there's a registry. CGC has a registry, so you can go in, and based on the serial number on each slab, each label has a serial number. You could pull up the information on that book. Now, you can't get the grader's notes unless you pay a couple of bucks, but it'll tell you, and it will confirm that is a legit grade. It's not a fake grade. It's nothing like that. It's a legit grade in a legit book. It prevents against, bootlegging as well. But all they have to do is just make that notation in that for that serial number. They know what they registered, and then just put in recalled. Please resubmit for green label. The end.
Yeah, I think the CGC thing was a bonehead move. They hurt the reputation. The collector market is hot right now. I don't know what they were thinking, but it probably had something to do with money. Let's talk about Amazing Fantasy number 1000, celebrating the 60th anniversary of the arrival of Peter Parker Spider-Man in comic books. We got a big, obviously, celebration issue this week. I don't think they got the right creators on this one. Ho-Che Anderson's on there for no reason. Rainbow Rowell, a bunch of other creators you probably haven't heard of. We do have a panel member that went out to his comic book shop this week on Wednesday. The Sultan of Soup himself read this bad boy. What did you think about Amazing Fantasy 1000?
I actually skipped that one because it was completely. This is actually good, Wes, because I was at the comic book shop on Wednesday, and this is the first Wednesday I've been there on new release day. Seriously, since Heroes in Crisis, this is true. I came back, and it was a really good feeling to be there on new release day. But I passed. I must have had like the blinders on, man, because I got a Superman for the War World one. I got the Flash annual, and I got last week's new issue of Flash, which was pretty interesting. But I mean, I didn't even see that, to be honest.
Sold out.
I almost picked up Axe version number 3 because I thought we were going to be talking about it soon, but I'm so happy that we dropped that subject.
We might talk about it at the end. Well, never mind. Doc, you read it. What did you think about Amazing Fantasy 1000?
I feel like you shouldn't have Rainbow Rowell and a bunch of other no-name writers on this book, in addition to the fact that this is now the second time that Marvel has decided, hey, we're going to make a book that never got anywhere near 1,000 issues, and no matter what kind of mental gymnastics we do, we can't get it to 1,000. Like, we can't get the math to work out to 1,000 and number it 1,000.
No,
they're still just chasing DC with issue 1000s of Detective and Action Comics. It failed when they did Marvel Comics 1000 and 1001. Those books were still sitting on the shelves 6 months later, and they're probably in dollar bins right now. So adding 1000 to the end of Amazing Fantasy, which got 15 issues the first time and like 20 issues on volume 2. So it would have been more accurate for them to call it Amazing Fantasy 36.
But what about Carrie Andrews' new miniseries that just happened, Doc? See, they're up to about 29 now. And it's nonsense, though. And the idea, I thought they were going to play a gimmick, almost like a DC 1 million, that they were going to say something along the lines of, hey, we would have been up to this if we actually let this out this amount of times. Maybe a little tongue-in-cheek type of deal, but they didn't. They did. And so you go into it. A lot of people went into this book kind of pissed off about the idea of, like, what are you trying to pull here? And there are some okay stories in it, but there's some really stinkers as well. But overall, I didn't mind it.
Well, I also don't understand why Marvel has now decided that 60 years equals 1,000.
I know.
I'm trying to figure out their
makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out their math here, because in which case then Fantastic Four last year should have had a Fantastic Four 1000, and next year we should have X-Men 1000.
If released monthly, it should be 83 years before you hit 1,000.
Yes,
right?
exactly. You'd be 83 years and 4 months to hit 1,000 issues. That's a monthly release schedule. So we shouldn't be getting Amazing Fantasy 1,000 even under that math until like 2044 or something like that, 2045. So hey, you're 23 years fucking early on this.
Are they counting like when Spider-Man was weekly? And
They're not
like,
counting shit.
They're not
They're
counting
not
shit.
counting-
not doing anything. Yeah.
because Amazing Fantasy is only at Amazing Spider-Man's only at 900. Even if you include Amazing Fantasy Volume 1, which only had one issue of Spider-Man,
right.
and Amazing Fantasy Volume 2, which had 0 issues of Spider-Man.
Mhm.
And the Carrie Andrews Amazing Fantasy, which had 5 issues of something kind of like Spider-Man.
They had to have just been worried that if you
you-
ended up having another Spider-Man anniversary, like they just had the 900, that people would get mad. So they do this and get people mad.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got a question then. What was the first timely comic in the Golden Age? Was
Breen,
it Captain
you were
America 1?
This is Marvel. That was
It
Marvel
was-
Comics #1.
It
Okay.
was- yes, Marvel Comics #1, and then it became on issue 2. It became Marvel Mystery Comics #2.
So is that where you think the 1000 is coming from then? If we can like
No, because they're
set that
jealous.
back
of
No,
that.
because they already
Comics-
did that.
Comics
Yeah.
in action. Yeah.
They did
Okay.
Marvel Comics 1000 2 years ago.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Look,
And
if
now
they had
it's
called it
suddenly
Spidey
amazing.
Super Stories 500, I would have bought it.
They should have just called it the 60th anniversary.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Spider-Man
Anniversary
60th
celebration.
anniversary. They're already fighting. People even know what the book is. A lot of people saw this and probably like, I don't even know what the hell this is. Like I missed 999 issues and whatnot, and it was just ridiculous.
no, you
I-
missed 964 issues.
Exactly. No, they missed those
Yeah.
when you were counting. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Like, so this is it's literally another attempt at an artificial 1000. It
Yeah.
failed the first time they did an artificial
Yep.
1000. So what? Wait 2 years and try it again with a book that has even less history? What the
Most popular
fuck?
character.
And
It has the
it's-
most popular character, but it still has less history than the Marvel Comics and Marvel Mystery Comics title did.
Mhm.
What
From
did you think about
time
the
we-
comic book, Jim? Was it good?
I said I liked
Oh,
some
my
of the
bad.
stories. I thought some of the stories, like the Dan Slott story, was okay. I thought actually even got a little chuckle out of the Jonathan Hickman deal, and I rarely get a chuckle out of him. I thought the Neil Gaiman story. There are an equal amount of kind of head scratchers, like the Rainbow Row one, and I did not like that Armando Iannucci's Conspiraton deal that I kept every time I saw it. I thought that he kept saying that Spider-Man's big enemy was constipation. For some reason, it didn't work in my head, but there's some good stories in it. I actually think it's
Did you
worth
like
picking
seeing
up.
old Spider-Man getting ready to retire? Can
Well,
you hear no more?
I like seeing his ass cheeks as he jumped out the window and tried to save somebody. But overall, I thought it was okay. I went in angry because of this Amazing Fantasy 1000. You're trying to dupe me. You're trying to get me in. And I'm like, it was okay. I mean, and it was what, $7.99, I think. DC usually slaps on like a $9.99 deal. So, it was
Hey,
okay.
Just wait for they'll do Marvel Comics 2000 next year, and then they'll do Amazing Fantasy 2000 the year after.
I'll just keep going.
Yeah. Just do what DC did in the 90s. Just jump to 1 million for some reason.
Yeah, that's what I said. Make it have a gimmick, have something like you're laughing about this 1000. Like, yeah, it would have been 1000 if we continued publishing it. Or I don't understand it. I just don't understand.
It would have been 1000 if we published it bi-weekly.
Yeah, I'm
for
telling you,
these
make it work.
only 4 months a year for 12 of the
12 of them,
years,
yeah.
and then we produced it
canceled.
monthly for this time, and then it got canceled, and then got rebooted, and like make up a whole
Make up a
fucking
whole list. I want
like,
a short of that and
I
make
want-
fun of it.
yes, an imaginary release chronology.
Yeah.
What if
Yes.
the Amazing Fantasy 1000? There we go.
You know what? If we published one issue every minute for the entire duration of from the time this character was originally sketched by, actually I think Kirby did the original sketch for Spider-Man. By Jack Kirby. If we published an entire issue every minute since then, we would be at issue and then just release, like issue 9,738,000 because why the fuck
No.
not?
I mean, it makes no sense
Why
anyway,
not?
because in that, Kurt Busiek was the only one who really played around with the idea of it being an amazing fantasy book anyway, trying to have a little fun with the, continuation of the story in the Amazing Fantasy 15. But it was a Spider-Man 60th anniversary. That's all it was. Just put it on the cover and there you go. People would still say, oh my God, you just had a 900 and this is bullcrap. But still, at least you're not, duping people, trying to come up with, your numbering. I don't know.
Yeah.
CB Cebulski ends up counting, but who knows?
I got a question. Legally, can they even put that in the indicia of its first page?
No, it's
Can
actually Amazing Fantasy number 1000 number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Wait, hold on. Let me see.
Breen?
I think I still
No,
have
listen,
it.
You want to speak, sir?
Yeah, I said I heard this book originally came out through Substack, but the Jonathan Hickman story wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Let's have a little time to get to it.
Yeah, I actually looked through this, sort of read a couple of the stories, and I get to the Dan Slott when I go, my God, are they really trying that hard to make Aunt May look hot? And I realized
I thought it was Aunt May at first. too.
But
She kind of turned into Aunt May. She's yelling at
kinda
Peter.
did.
Get back here.
But yeah, I had the same take that a lot of people have said. Where was Jerry Conway? Where was Jim DeMatteis? Where was Peter David? Hell, where was Howard Mackey? I know I'm missing another one that wrote a ton of Spider-Man story. Roger Stern.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we get these people that have zero connection to Spider-Man. But then I realized if they let these guys contribute to that, then that might remind people of how much better Spider-Man used to be and that you're not going to get again. So I guess that might be why they were not asked to participate.
Breen, should they bring back the spider webs under the armpits? I think they should.
Ooh.
I was always kind of partial to those. And I always thought,
It
I
looks
said,
better.
if you ever dropped out of a building and you're out of webbing, you can at least put your arms out and hope for the best.
Yeah, it's like a giant one of those squirrel suit.
Well, it's
like
a spider web. Doc.
paraglide.
It's not like
No, the paragliding thing with the squirrel suits where you are the parachute.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole point of the webbing. It was to help him glide.
Yeah, since they forgot that he once made his webbing into wings all the way back in Avengers 11, but they forgot he knows how to do that. So the underarm web's probably the closest he's going to get.
I think they're dope. I think they should bring him back.
Didn't he used to make like webbing, like parachutes too?
Let me do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Except for there was one issue where he gets dropped out of a plane. He doesn't think of any of that, so he webs himself into a ball and bounces, obviously, which would have killed him. But it's comics, so.
Well, then again, they did. You could crash out of a spaceship with a bunch of wood around you and not get impaled to death in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well,
Remember
every time
Groot?
a hero falls into a dumpster, there's never any broken glass either.
Yeah.
Or
an old TV.
Jeez.
Yeah.
No pointy things. Common Sense asked, do you think Peter Parker should team up with other heroes in fight villains that debut in Amazing Fantasy 24 to 26, like Aranya, Amadeus Cho, Camilla, Black, Captain Universe, Death's Head, 3.0, etc.?
That honestly, if they would have done that as Amazing Fantasy 2.0, I think Amazing Fantasy 2.0, like use it as like a Marvel team up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marvel Team Up's a great title to just showcase any new talent. Isn't that the old system, like the old wrestling thing, like coming up? That's who you'd have, Raven the Bold, or you'd have Marvel Team Up.
Yeah.
But modern Marvel Team Up, you just get Spider-Man with like Miss Marvel, and then he talks about how amazing it is to meet her.
Exactly.
He always looked up to her.
It would become they did that a few years ago. They did the Marvel. They did a Marvel Team Up where all he did was they should have retitled it Spider-Man Validates You. Because that's all it was. It was just Spider-Man validating all these new generic terrible characters.
Yeah.
Because if they weren't doing it with Spider-Man, they were doing it with Wolverine over in Wolverine and the X-Men, where they'd stick a new mutant and Wolverine would validate them and say how great they were.
You mean Spider-Man asking for Riri Williams' autograph while he's riding on her back isn't something that Spider-Man would do?
Probably not. I'm gonna go with fucking no.
How about the Freaky Friday with Kamala Khan?
No. Also no. No.
He did that. Yeah, that's what you'll say. Yeah, I forgot that part of the story. They end up switching bodies.
Yeah.
And like half the story was told from her perspective, and the other one was told from Spider-Man's perspective. Yeah, it wasn't very good, if you ask me.
No.
But I think we talk about Amazing Fantasy 1000 enough. Basically, a fake milestone. No one likes that. Let's talk about Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power debuted. I don't think anyone. Jermaine, did you watch this?
I did watch it. Actually, I watched it earlier this morning.
Nice.
What did you think? Did you enjoy it? I thought it was.
I want to hear.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to compare it to House of Dragon, which I also watched. I just thought the House of Dragons was a lot more of a straightforward story. Like it made a lot more sense. Had a better through line in terms of a beginning, middle, and end. Rings of Power, I just have to say I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so I am sort of biased in that sense. Like
That's probably good. There's not much Tolkien in it.
Yeah. I own all the extended editions of the movies because I like the craftsmanship and the artistry of Lord of the Rings, the films. So I like the behind the scenes stuff, and I love the video games. But I've never been a real big fan of Lord of the Rings thing, and it just didn't do anything for me. I mean, I like the story, the little subplot of what seems to be the burgeoning romance between the elf and the human woman and what that might lead to. But by and large, it just didn't grab me at all. Yeah, I don't think I'll be going back for a second helping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I would rather watch the Dragon show.
Yeah, House of Dragon. Yeah,
a little bit better on that front. It was just I don't know. There's a lot of stupidity in there. It looked great though, Gervais. You have to like the production.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, I love the look of like the Lord of the Rings stuff. I love the look of it. It was almost even like with the Star Wars, the prequel trilogy. You know, I so much that went wrong with that. It looks great though. That's the part I love. I love the look of it. It's the look of it. It's just in terms of a story and or even necessarily compelling characters. I just wasn't quite sure where they were going with a lot of it. So it's like a big ensemble cast, but didn't feel like it was anything. It seemed like the Galadriel character was kind of be the one they were going to focus in on the beginning, but then it just went like 4 or 5 different places, and so there was nothing really to like kind of anchor your attention or serve as a point of view.
Well, she was stuck in the ocean swimming for 2 weeks, Gervais.
Like I said,
you notice that?
Yeah, I thought it was going someplace where the rest of the elves were like, may God go with you because none of us will. But that, it just didn't. Yeah, it didn't pay off for me enough to give it a real 2 thumbs up or anything like that.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't offensive or anything. It wasn't terrible, but it was kind of boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Looked good.
Yep,
definitely looked good. Jim, you watched what did you get through?
20 minutes. I got through, and I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and I'm talking more of the books. And the thing is, there's a divide here, and I think that anybody who's just movie-based deal, I think that they're going to be bored as shit watching this, and I think people who are into the book, they're going to be bored as shit watching this because it's boring. It's just boring. It looks great, but the source material is not that exciting, and it's going to be more of a history lesson of things. And I don't know that a lot of people are into that nowadays. Back in the day when you're reading the books that Doc loved, I heard, you end up having, you just want it more. You need it more of it. I think that the timing and everything between it also goes with that idea that I really was bored. I have problems. I have a very bad attention deficit disorder. So you have to grab me early. But that also goes with when I do end up thinking or reviewing things about this. If you can grip me and go through it, I really give that a lot of kudos. This did not. I fell asleep. And it was 3 p.m. It wasn't late at night. I was like, all right.
Maker.
Yeah, it was
Sandman universe.
Exactly.
Did you watch Sandman? Is that better?
I have not watched that. I have not even.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Is anyone watching Sandman?
I hear it's good, but I have not watched it. I have not.
I got some. I'm actually reading or having read to me the audiobook version of Sandman, and this is incredible. If you're a fan of Sandman, and then Copper Age DC comic books, then I'm telling you, I can't wait to get back to this book. I'm on Act 2 now. It's like a radio play with sound effects, musics, and a big cast. And I mean, Kat Dennings plays Death, and she's really, really good. And James McAvoy is playing Morpheus.
Kat Dennings, that's the one with the jugs, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't see them, but you know you
Hear your voice.
You can hear her voice. I mean, but she's really cool as Death. I mean, that's the voice. I mean, I heard in the comic, reading those years ago, and having these individual issues come back, you know, so vividly, like the Element Girl issue 20, Facade, art by Colleen Doran. I mean, these panels just came back to me, you know, and I was just. I'm really appreciative. So if I don't know about the Netflix show, I'm not going to touch it, especially with the Constantine gender swap. That's my only gripe. But I mean, this audiobook is really, really good. If you like Sandman, I mean, I'm standing by this one. This is good. I can't wait for this to get back to it.
There you
Thumbs
go.
up.
Well,
Yay.
listen to the audiobook.
It's great.
I'm done hate watching things.
You've done hate watching
Right.
things, Doc.
You're not.
I have zero interest in watching this show. I'm not even going. You know what? I recommend anyone to watch, or at least here. Look, if you want to send a message to Amazon, turn on the first episode, walk out of the fucking room, don't watch it. Then, when the episode's over, go back in, turn it off, and never watch again.
But it just
They can't-
pulls you
they
right
won't-
in the next episode, Doc. It doesn't even ask you.
Just stop when it hits the credits, and it just asks you to
Well, there are
No,
7
wait-
minutes of credits.
episode.
I
wait
believe.
wait 30 minutes, walk back in, hit the button, and stop, and just stop it. And look, they'll be unable to blame the marketing because people started the show. They just hated it once they started watching.
I don't know. that a lot of
And
people are
they
gonna
get
make it through this
zero.
show.
No, nobody's going to make it through it. So, look, but I'm done hate watching shit. I last time I really hate watched a show was The Strain, because that show was fucking terrible. And this, but no, I'm just not.
Last
watching
time
it.
I hate watched something was the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, which I knew was going downhill. And I was like, it's going to be worth it because I'm going to get to the end. I'm going to see what happens with all these characters. And I swore I would never do that after I got through Lost, which had 2 terrible seasons to end at as well.
Yeah.
And I persevered through both of them. What was I thinking? No payoffs.
Oh.
Which was worse, Sully? The end of
Yeah.
Game of Thrones or the end of Lost?
End of Game of Thrones. I stand by Lost because I didn't watch Lost in its initial airing. I watched it binge on Netflix, and I went back and watched it again, and I've watched it 4 times over now. I can stand Lost. I can accept Lost with its skinny legs and all, man. It's still a beautifully shot. I love the Michael Giacomo music. I like Jack Shepherd. I like how Jack.
Do you like
Let's
the Brian
go.
K. Vaughan gibberish bullshit that they threw in there that never was going to go anywhere?
Oh, I kind of accept it as just part and parcel with it. I think there's more to like about Lost than there isn't. I mean, but with Game of Thrones, I mean, that's just like all it is now. Game of Thrones is a metaphor for a failed relationship. It started off so great, and you can't even remember the early days because it's just so bittersweet of a bitter end. Ugh.
What do you say, Jim? Which one was the worst to finish, Lost or Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones by far.
It sucked so bad, didn't
it? It did. It really did. And my kids were really big into Game of Thrones, and I thought they actually liked it while we were watching the finale. And afterwards, they're like, "No, this effing sucked." They hated it as well. They had this look on their face like they were loving it. I'm like, looking at them, I'm like, "What the hell?"
My wife loved Games of Thrones, and she normally doesn't like anything that I like. Like, we like cooking shows. We have that in common. But, well, like the stuff I find entertaining, she doesn't normally find entertaining. Like, although she did like the Spider-Man No Way Home, she gets into Game of Thrones. She catches up to me, and we're watching like the last few seasons together. And then she actually quit.
No.
And then she came back for the last episode. She's like, "I'm so glad I didn't watch this." So bad.
Yeah. My wife likes cooking shows. I like eating shows. Those are my favorite.
I like
I'm
cooking
more-
competitions. I think
Yeah,
they're
that's
fun.
pretty good too.
the Never mind. I'm not going to tell you what the girlfriend and I just watched.
I don't want to know about
It was on Netflix. Though.
but it was.
Black
It
Pink
was
House.
foreign things, huh?
No,
Sensate when they were
no,
all
it
like
was where they were
everyone
all
was just like
trans.
banging each other.
Yeah, where they were all trans and fucking each other. Yeah, no. No, we watched. Oh God, what? So you want to build a sex room, which is basically like HGTV After Dark. If HGTV had an After Dark series, that's what it would be.
Does that explain all the hammering in the background, Doc?
Yes. Yes, it does.
All right, well, that'll kill that subject. Thank you very much, Doc. Abrams of the Night says, "Oh God, I fear how they'll handle Peter interacting with Riri in the MCU. Given his interactions with Tony, $5 says they'll screw it up."
Aw.
Well, we're going to see Riri in the Black Panther movie, so we shouldn't see her and Spider-Man really interact probably until the Avengers team up, right?
I think they'll probably try to shoehorn her into other stuff a lot earlier after Worlds of Wakanda comes out.
Worlds of Wakanda, that's a show?
No, the wait, I thought that was the name. I thought that was the subtitle of Black Panther 2. I thought it was World of Wakanda.
Wakanda Forever.
Oh, it's Wakanda
Yeah.
Forever. Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought that was the subtitle. My bad.
Gervain, are you on the hashtag recast T'Challa movement?
No, because you see them coming a mile away. I just if that was their plan, I mean, unless she's getting buffed up, I can't remember the name of the actress. I just thought she was a little too skinny for that role, at least from the way she looks on screen. But the fact that I don't think am I spoiling for this anyone that it's going to be the sister. I mean, unless there's good. I mean, there's a part of me thinks they're going to make it a Okoye.
It
One of
doesn't
the.
look like it's the sister. It looks like a dude.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
They've
From the
shown
back.
him. You
Okay,
see his eyes and stuff.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the new trailer yet. I just saw the one where they kind of did the sort of mid shot from
I
behind.
assumed it was going to be Shuri as well because she has
Yeah.
been Black Panther and she's been the leader of Wakanda before.
Yep.
But
I'll be digging into that then. Yeah, we'll see.
Goblin Set says Carnival Raw is better. Did you know they did a Kickstarter for a Carnival Raw comic? Why Amazon didn't promote that? I never saw Carnival Raw. What is it? Carnival Row. My bad. Carnival Raw is probably what Doc and his girlfriend watched.
I wasn't paying attention to a word you just said. What was that?
Carnival Row. What is that, Doc?
I have no idea what Carnival Row is.
Well, I guess I got a Google search. None of us know what that is. Probably got to be about some carny folk in the 1800s or something. That's what it looks like. Looks like a period piece.
Sounds
The guy that played
probably-
Legolas is apparently the leader of the carnival.
This isn't good. Jimmy said it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh God, that means it's the worst fucking shit on television.
Seal of death right there. You know, it's like, oh man, Jimmy said it was good. It's gonna be bad. We haven't seen it, Common Sense. Maybe I'll check it out if they have it on Amazon. Travlog says Sandman on Netflix is good, but Sandman on Audible is much better. I dig Audible. I'm listening to the Last Kingdom series right now. Although they changed narrators, and we had this super duper expressive guy that had multiple voices for everybody, and it was amazing. And there's some Welsh guy now that can't do a voice for a woman for anybody. It's terrible. Such a drop off in quality. But Audible is pretty dope. You listen to Audible, right? Right, Javade?
Yeah, yeah, you got me onto it. Yeah, you got me onto it. So I'm enjoying it. And I listen to that and some of the stuff on Spotify. Like right now, well, let's say a book, but listen to download The Rise and Fall of Harry Knowles, which is pretty interesting. Pretty interesting run through. But yeah, I love the Audible books. Yeah.
There you go.
That
Ideator says, I never understood hate watching. Why would you do something you hate? If you are such an elitist, find the thing you like. Too many hate monetizers.
Fair point.
Fair point.
People watch it so they have something for content.
Yeah.
Well, there's also
other
the
than that.
FOMO when people are
Oh, yeah.
talking at the water cooler.
And that's when I say I don't watch terrible television and walk away.
But sometimes you gotta watch something or read something if it's important to the audience, even if you think it's going to be good or not. And I've been pleasantly surprised quite a few times. Things I didn't think I would like, I end up liking, and things I thought I would hate, or things I thought I would love, I ended up hating. So it's kind of a crapshoot, I guess. Doc, you're an avid hate watcher, huh?
Not really.
No, he's reformed.
You're reformed.
No, I think there's only like maybe two shows I've ever really hate watched, and yeah, I don't do it anymore. I drop, like, once I get to the point where I'm at like 4 or 5 straight weeks of a show that I'm watching, and I saw it going downhill before that, and it's like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, like episodes in a row, where I'm like, this is fucking bad. I literally just cancel it from my DVR. I did it with Supergirl. I did it with Legends. I did it with Stargirl. Stargirl started going way the fuck downhill during season 2. I just tapped out.
I couldn't make it through season 1s of Legends of Tomorrow or whatever.
I did it with I did it with Doctor Who. I did it with a few others. And I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch
just
the Rings of
stop
Power
giving...
anymore. I watched 2 episodes. That was enough of my life. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible, though.
Here's the thing.
I get it.
The metrics on Netflix and Amazon and all the rest of them, it's about completing your story. Like, if people, they have to watch the entire season. If you only have like a 40% completion rate where people just, and like the time between them watching episodes starts going up, where they're like, okay, I watched 3 episodes the first night, 2 the second night, 1 the third night, took 2 nights off, watched another one, took a week off and watched the next one. They cancel that show. Even if you get through it all. And it just takes too long for you to get through it.
Teaching people how to destroy the algorithm, Doc?
Yes.
I don't know. I learned from Lost. At least I thought I learned from Lost. Once it starts to go downhill, best to just check out. Obviously, it was retaught to me with the Game of Thrones. Man, that was rough. Dylan with the power play. Doc is wrong. Damn straight. The Strain was good. What's it feel like being wrong?
The Strain was fucking terrible. That show was so bad. After like halfway through the first season, that show got so fucking bad that it was virtually unwatchable. All of the characters were fucking retarded, and the villain plot made no goddamn sense. And it just kept getting more convoluted for absolutely no reason.
Sounds like Syriana.
I don't know. I didn't watch that, but this show was, The Strain was fucking awful, and it just kept getting worse.
I'm going to clip that and turn it into a TikTok video. There you go, Doc.
Doc's
15-second review.
I think, I never thought I'd say this on this show, but Doc is wrong.
You're wrong.
Although I do agree with somebody earlier in the chat. That kid, and I want to ask a question for the panel, if you all watch Strain. More annoying, the kid on the Strain or the kid that made noises on Walking Dead when they were trying to sneak past the zombies? Which one did you want dead worse?
Little kid on the Walking Dead, he lost his eyeball. He was a hero.
No, not Carl, the little brat. That when they slathered themselves down with zombie guts to try to sneak past them, and the little kid, it was just an annoying little twat the whole time he'd been on. He started making noises and got basically half of them eaten. I still will
that
take
sounds
the kid
like
on
the kid
Strain.
off of what was that? Quiet something.
Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. Yeah, it's like that girl was the villain of the movie.
Yeah,
she got a little brother killed, got her dad killed. And I guess the theme of the movie was it doesn't matter.
I'd say honestly the kid in the Strain was more fucking retarded. The kid in The Walking Dead, yes, he was annoying, and yes, he did get a bunch of them killed, but it wasn't over a prolonged period. That kid from the Strain was fucking stupid for like 3 straight seasons and just kept getting dumber and making I'm sorry, you're my kid, but by the 15th time you undermine my plan to save the world, I'm fucking disowning you.
I mean, he's not wrong there. That kid, and I can't remember, did he finally get killed?
I think so. I think he finally got turned, but I don't remember.
Well, see, now that then you can't say the show was bad.
Yes,
you rooted for this kid to die.
I'm rooting for this kid to fucking die.
Is Yul Carter saying Kirsten Dunst's interviews are the more annoying?
I think interview from the vampire.
Oh, Kirsten Dunst in an interview with the vampire was fine.
Yeah, she was sad. She'll never grow up. Be a woman.
Yeah, she was mad.
Yeah.
I thought Interview with the Vampire was pretty damn good.
They did that plot again in the Eternals, and it was just as stupid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, this is going to be our last topic here, Doc. Let's talk about this Hispanic parody covers that DC Comics is putting out. Every hero with a cheesy gordita crunch or something. Obviously, the big news was about the Green Lantern Kyle Rayner cover, where originally, it was an homage to some famous Mexican artwork. They ended up changing it, putting a bag of tamales in his hand. I don't know, Doc. Did you think this was too far? Are you shocked they went back on it?
I'm surprised that they didn't try to get Taco Bell to co-sponsor the fucking event. Why did they just stick at that point? You know what? Stick that fucking dog, the little Chihuahua from the Taco Bell commercials, because you're just as out of date and going on to stereotypes. The fucking Chihuahua dog from Taco Bell from like 15 years ago, from the commercials. Just stick that dog on the cover of everything. Fuck it. Who cares? Your entire culture is, hey, congratulations, Hispanic culture. Your entire culture is based on what
we like your snacks.
what you can buy off the Taco Bell menu. Good job. You've definitely accomplished something in the world. You've created meaningful change at DC Comics, and they're showing you because they went to Taco Bell last night.
Oh, I don't think you can get authentic tamales at Taco Bell, man.
Yes,
and I think everything was right off the dollar menu. It wasn't authentic as shit. It was all that.
You can get a super bean burrito supreme there, but you cannot get authentic tamales. No way, no how.
I'm waiting for somebody to come out with the fucking what's those like Twizzler looking things with the cinnamon on them.
Oh yeah.
The little snack
churros.
Churros, that's it. Yeah. Churros. Why not just have them snacking on a churro?
Well, again, they just ended up having their Asian celebration stuff, and I didn't see everybody, walking around with wonton soup and it just
dim sum.
Yeah, it just showed that they're
why isn't Speedy Gonzalez on the cover of every one of these?
Oh no,
that's a Warner property too. I mean, you could have a crossover. You could do that, yeah.
How about if
and just the idea that they altered covers to actually have the characters holding things? That Kyle Rayner, they change it from a lantern to a bunch of empanadas or whatever it was.
Yeah. Tamales that will somehow pull down a bag while in space. They can both simultaneously create gravity to cause the bag to go down and the handles to be strained, but also float away at the same time.
Yep. Yeah, because you wouldn't know that Kyle Rayner is anything Hispanic unless he's carrying tamales. That's ridiculous.
In addition, too, I mean, he is literally half Mexican and half Irish. His mom, Maura Rayner, was, had a brogue. She was Irish.
You know what? He should have had the tamales in one hand and a potato in the other.
Hold on, Doc.
And plus, he's drunk.
Hold on, Sully, you're a chef. What is the Irish tamale? Is it haggis?
No, that's Scottish. That's more Scottish. I mean, what would an Irish tamale be? I think more maybe a fish and chip. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Just a potato.
Some weird wrapped up shepherd's pie.
Okay. We have something called blood. We have something called blood pudding. This is, and it's literally made with pig's blood, and it's a sausage, and you have to my parents and my grandparents, they love this stuff. You have to burn it for it to be edible, and there were just these burnt wafers, and they couldn't get enough of it. Ugh. But yeah, I think blood pudding.
We have Dinigo on here, which is like a spicy stew type thing that you make out of pig's blood.
Mhm.
Maybe
My
just
wife
make a
loves it.
tamale with corned beef in it. Just call it
that
right?
would
You
be
just
that
do
would be
that.
interesting.
The Irish everything is a potato.
I can't believe people don't like Taco Bell. I miss Taco Bell. I could use a double decker taco. You know,
double
what I mean?
beef burrito supreme and some,
A little beef and cheese.
Nah.
mhm.
Hey, it's not bad at 3 a.m. whenever you're pissed drunk.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not
3 in the
good.
morning. It's 3 in the morning.
And you don't want to eat a Taco Bell taco like fresh. You know what I mean? You got to give it a few minutes to where the grease really slips into the
Mhm.
tortilla or to the
right
shell.
before it sticks to the wrapper.
Exactly. This one is
Well, I
at
want
its
some
best.
equal time for his Irish heritage. I want for St. Patty's Day. I want a Kyle Rayner cover.
I want him
that
to have
you
a
know,
fucking shillelagh. He needs to have a
shillelaghs, a
leprechaun.
leprechauns,
Eating
pot
Lucky
of gold.
Charms. Why not?
You know,
Beating his
Guinness.
wife with a wife beater on.
you know, hey.
Guinness and working in a potato field.
Oh goodness.
What do you think, Jim? Are they being diverse enough with these covers since every other one of them has food as well?
It's just ridiculous. I mean, we're making fun of it, but the problem is somebody in that meeting room should have been saying exactly what we're saying as a way of, pretty much, hey, people are gonna think this. I don't know how this got through, where they ended up changing covers to just have them. And then when a couple come in, somebody's got to time out. Like there's more to this than just this food part. And it just obviously it blew up in their face, and they ended up, at least for once, they ended up, backing away from it. Usually they'll try to shame anybody who said anything about it, and that's not the case.
They realized.
Remember, though, these are the same people that believe that orcs are black coded, and that you can't write a gay person unless they are flamboyant.
Yeah,
It's let's take the most cliched 1990s stereotype and slap it onto everything and call it super progress.
I love corned beef and cabbage. I miss that
So
too.
do I.
I'm gonna have to corn my own beef to get it.
I will hook you up with a recipe and a technique, Wes. That's going on the list. I'm going to make a series of survival food for Wes.
Here's the thing: they don't butcher beef here like they do in the States. You can't just get like a roast.
Yeah,
It's so strange.
It's all about the corning spices and about how you prep it and then slow cook it. And then,
I would love to do some slow cooked corned
We
beef
can-
and
we can
cabbage
do
for the
this.
boys for St.
We'll do
Patty's
this.
Day.
Oh yeah,
Get them some green beers, put some hair on their chest. You know what I mean?
Here you go. Hey, have
Take
some
them to
Guinness,
see
boy.
Deadpool.
You can't make it.
What?
You can't make a Guinness green, can you? It's got to be a light beer.
No, I wouldn't. But it's just Miller Lite, couple of just a drop or
Throw
two of
some
green
drops
food
in there.
dye.
7-year-old loses a little mind. He already loves beer, right?
Oh my goodness.
We do have one super chat. This is from Common Sense. Heritage cover is really offensive. Bad as Marvel voices using the slur word that ends with an X. Was Kyle's cover only fixed, or will they do the rest? The only one that will not feature food now is the Kyle Rayner
Kyle
cover.
Rayner.
That was the homage. Everyone else, including like Hawk Girl, she's like a waitress or something, like serving plantains or something.
Welcome to DC Diversity Latin Heritage Month, where your entire culture is boiled down to the Taco Bell menu. Good job.
Travelogues is taking a good approach to it. He says, "I'm Mexican. I think it's hilarious."
Oh, it's hilarious, but it's
embarrassing.
hilarious because they think they're being serious.
Yeah,
It would not be hilarious if they actually knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
But they think that
I'm
they
with
think
you, man.
that's
It's
how
hilarious.
you celebrate.
Jesus. The hell are these guys doing?
Yeah, I mean,
What's so bad is that didn't he already have the tamales in the original drawing?
No, you had the
No,
Green Lantern, and you had
even
the,
that one with the lantern where they have like the stuff underneath it. That's not the corn and the tamale that was added in too.
Oh, that's part of the original art.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the quote unquote drive it home, but with okay, yeah.
Man, what are they gonna do for Black History Month next year?
I already said that, man. I said, man, I I already got my signs and my megaphone ready.
You're gonna have Jon Stewart throwing it down. Maybe some
That's
hip-hop
right.
covers.
Book my flight out to LA. This will not stand.
All right, well, let's wrap this bad boy up. I do have a couple other things I need to get to today. So let's talk about some comic book recommendations, maybe some of the stuff that's happening. Gervain, thank you so much for joining us. You got
Absolutely.
the pop-ups going on. You've got some preview art out there. Is there anything that people should be keeping an eye on as far as animated concepts?
Yep, just keep an eye out for basically make an announcement about the YouTube channel. Planning on 2 shows, so I've got at least 2 people that I've at least talked to about hosting. So my goal is to get them wrapped up for the month. So the goal is, if everything goes well, and we are looking for video editors. So if anybody is interested in coming on board to help with the video editing, please reach out to me at info@animatedconcepts.biz email-wise, or just DM me from one of the social media pages. We'd like to get started recording in October. But basically, we're just ramping up to hopefully do a crowdfunding campaign for the first graphic novel sometime next year, once we get enough people on board. But yeah, that's pretty much what it's looking like. I'm excited to get going. Yeah, I see you, Comic Quirks. I'll talk to you. We'll talk.
What kind of comics are you recommending this week, Gervain?
Man, I only got 2. So I got, it was a rough week. It was Power Rangers Universe, The Death Ranger.
Ooh, cool.
And Transformers Shattered Glass 2, #1. Because the first Shattered Glass miniseries was good. So I'm looking forward to hunkering down and reading the second one. But Marvel and DC was a big whiff and a miss. But 5th Wednesday. So what, can you expect anything less?
Yeah, it was definitely a down week. Jim, what are you guys doing at Weird Science? Is it just the podcast as normal?
Normal stuff. We have 3 weekly DC podcasts, 3 weekly Marvel podcasts, and 7 manga reading club podcasts. So every day we have a manga reading club podcast up with different books, My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, stuff like that. But other than that, just doing the stuff, reviewing the comics on the site with Gabe, the star of the show. As always, he does some of the written reviews, all of them on our Marvel site. But we have 2 review sites, a DC and a Marvel one. It's all in the show note link under my name, so everybody can check those out. But yeah, it's an annuals week, and I thought it was rough enough. I mean, if you have been reading stuff like the War World stuff in Action Comics, you can pick up the War World Apocalypse and end that. It's odd to end a thing that went on that long in a one-shot separate comic. That's kind of infuriating. But other than that, the Flash was okay this week at the DC as well. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And there is one thing that I did like manga wise for Doc, a little suggestion. It's Ghostbuster Osamu, and you can check that out on Manga Plus actually for free. So it's
did the Ghostbusters decide to franchise into Japan?
Yes, they did. They ended up going there, across the streams, and all hell broke loose. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good start of a series. It's a cute little deal.
Yul Carter is saying, great show. Next week, Fantastic Four, Full Circle. Alex Ross, writing and illustrating. Next week, everyone is talking about this. Apparently, it is absolutely amazing. So definitely keep that one in your minds. Calvin says, read The Last Witch by Connor McCree. It's the only comic that did Irish folklore and a well-written female protagonist. If you like Irish folklore and like lore, if you read Batman, Wonder Woman, Brave the Bold by Liam Sharp, it is all Irish lore in
It's
there.
all that,
It's amazing. Although the ending wasn't quite what I wanted. But
no,
that's
the
another
ending
one if you haven't seen that.
Great,
Yeah, but thank you very much. Definitely check that one out. The Salt and Soup. What are you reading this week?
I have a couple of new releases that I'm going to recommend. I did pick up the Superman War World one shot. It was pretty fun. I think it could have used an old-fashioned info dump page at the beginning, but that's just me. I really enjoyed the Flash annual. I love annuals. Annuals are always fun, especially since I was a kid, because they're one and done. They're extra big, and this one has a really nice ending to it and pretty decent art. I got last week's Flash. It was a part 3 of 3. It's a tie-in to Dark Crisis, and I got this in the mail. I got Nosferatu by the artist known as Narwhal Piraberg. This is a hardcover. It came also with a soft cover. And I like the art. It's very simple, black and white, very expressive, and I'm really impressed with the quality of this indie comic book. So support indie comic book makers, and yeah, I mean, and thanks for having me on again, Weston. We love talking comic books with you guys.
Awesome. We've also got Shin Megami Talk says, thanks to you guys, I've fallen back into comics. Well, that's what we're here. Everyone says I'm just talking about the bad stuff. Every week I tell you the stuff that you need to seek out with the best comic books videos. And he says I'm reading, or they say I'm reading. I don't want to misgender anybody. World's Finest and all the Spawn stuff. Absolutely. World's Finest is absolutely amazing. And I really like Gunslinger Spawn. That's the one I really enjoy in the Spawn universe. So I'm glad we were able to help you find some great comic books. Eric Breen, who does all the, obviously, the comic book retrospectives with Joe Corallo and myself. Are there any comics books you're recommending this week?
Well, first I want to say to David Sherlock, thanks for the kind words. We lace them up every week for guys like you. As for the recommendations, Florida Man #2 came out this week. Haven't had a chance to read it yet. I mean, I know some of you guys might have already gotten it when it was crowdfunded, but it's Mike Barron, so it's going to be entertaining.
Cool.
And I picked up Vampirus Carmilla, which, if you guys aren't familiar with, there's that and Shudder. They're from a company called Warrant, because they, Warren couldn't use, but they're done in the old 70s black and white horror style. And they're pretty close approximations. And there's actually a couple people that were working back then that contribute to these. And if you like, 70s style horror, check them out. They're very good.
Very nice. AL says Eric is a cutie. Which one? Breen or Sullivan?
Sullivan.
Yes.
My day is long done.
Hello.
It's you there, brother.
Whoa,
Come on, Breen.
There we go. Both Erics. We got a couple of cuties on the channel. It takes a different meaning after that Netflix show, but I think it's still a compliment.
Yeah, by about 47 years in my case.
My goodness. You still got it, Breen. Don't act like you don't know it.
Yeah.
All right, Doc, you're last. What are you recommending this week?
X-Men wasn't good. It was eminently mediocre and just completely ignores all continuity from about the last 10 years. So don't bother with that. I got my Cyberforce complete Cyberforce Volume 1 from Kickstarter. So I believe it's coming out in the hardcover's coming out in stores soon. I recommend that. I was a little disappointed in the size, the physical dimensions of it. I would have preferred it to be more oversized. It wasn't really that oversized. And yes, but otherwise nothing, no new comics this week. I am going to second Yule's recommendation on Fantastic Four Full Circle with Alex Ross this week. And this time he doesn't get to give Mark Waid writing credit for shit he didn't do. And hey, look, he doesn't get to become a name in the industry for coattail riding somebody better. This time, Alex gets to keep all the credit for himself instead of handing some off to a no-talent hack.
Well, I can tell you by reading World's Finest, that is a false statement on Mark Waid. That dude could write him some DC comics. But that is neither here nor there. Tomorrow, you will hear my recommendations along with Drew from Comics Elite. Later tonight, Doc and I are going to talk about some of the states of Marvel Comics. Everybody's gay. You kind of know it. But just some of the stuff that happened this week was absolutely atrocious. And also, I got a really cool video for you guys tomorrow that I think you're going to love. We will see you next week right here on Comics Aficionados. And we'll see if Josh is back yet. I'm not really sure.